compassionate and helpful to victims of crime had been spearheaded during the Reagan administration. A task force set out to learn how crime victims were treated and cared for by the justice system was chaired by Judge Lois Haight Harrington.
I'd like to see every victim have somebody that would help them through the system, help them to understand about the Victims' Compensation Program, help them to understand what services they can get in counseling and therapy.
This Special Awareness Week is designed for citizens to learn what their communities do for crime victims and to push local governments to be aware of victims going without assistance. Eben Brown, Fox News.
In Munster, Germany today, mourners gathering at a cathedral, remembering those killed and injured in that city yesterday when a man drove his van into a crowd. 2 people died, 20 others were hurt in that crash outside a popular bar in the city's Old Town. The 48-year-old suspect was well known to police, they say, but had a history of run-ins with the law. He killed himself shortly after that attack. The movie Mean Girls now getting a Broadway treatment.
It's been 14 years since Mean Girls hit theaters, making Regina George and her popular clique, The Plastics, pop culture icons.
Coolness. So we'll see you tomorrow. On Wednesdays, we wear pink.
The movie script was written by comedian Tina Fey, and she's also written the new Mean Girls, the musical, which opens today on Broadway.
That is so fetch. Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
Fey's husband, Jeff Richmond, composed the music.
She doesn't even go here.
And in keeping with the movie, on Wednesdays, a special group of tickets is being sold to people wearing, you guessed it, pink. In New York City, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Final round of the Masters in Augusta through 6. Patrick Reed leads Rory McIlroy by 3 strokes in that lead. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News Radio.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Mangilao on Route 10. Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Mangilao. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Luis Muñoz on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
Ready to buy real estate on Guam? Congratulations! But what now? There's so many questions, so many things to do. Where do you start? The best place to start is to call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty, Guam's biggest name in real estate. They aren't the best because they're the biggest. They're the biggest because they're the best. Trust the name. Find out why. Call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty today. 888-2121. Trust the best.
Don't wait another day and waste another dollar. You can start saving today. At Guahan Insurance Services, we are here to help protect your investment and save you money. We offer insurance advising for business, car, and home insurance. So come and visit us at our new office at Camacho Landmark Center at Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning, and let us show you that you can count on us for all your insurance needs. Call 475-1162.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Alpha Day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 6 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. 2 people died on Guam's roadways in separate traffic accidents early this morning, the first involving a pedestrian at the intersection of Route 1 and Woostig Road. Acting Guam Fire Department spokeswoman Charika Chargaloff reporting the 911 call came in at about 1:26 a.m. The victim was taken to GMH. As of 5:30 this morning, Guam Police spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau reports all northbound lanes at Route 1 in Woostic were closed while Guam Highway Patrol conducts an investigation into that fatal accident. Motorists are advised to seek alternate routes. The second fatal accident happened less than an hour later, about 2:14 a.m. along Route 3 near Ukudu High School. In that incident, Chargaloff reports that a blue sedan ran off the road, flipped over, and ended up wrapped around a concrete pole. The driver had to be extracted from the sedan. Sergeant Tapau reports traffic restrictions in that area as well. All lanes of Route 3, with the exception of the outer westbound lane, were closed as of 5:30 this morning. While a highway patrol investigated that incident, motorists are advised to seek alternate routes there as well. In other news this morning, as of April 3rd, about 6,000 tax returns for tax year 2017 had been processed by the Department of Revenue and Taxation, totaling $21 million in refunds. But refund checks for 2017 tax returns have not gone out yet. DRT Director John Camacho says no refunds will be released until he gets the green light from the Department of Administration that there is sufficient cash on hand to cover the refund checks. Unlike the first months of 2017, when refunds were being issued 2 or more times every month, the current fiscal crisis has left the government of Guam cash poor. Camacho could not say when the first refund checks would go out. He said DOA will determine when there is sufficient funding to release the checks. He was, however, hopeful, saying that they are looking at some money coming in this month. Tax day, the deadline to file income tax returns, falls on April 17th. That is 1 week from tomorrow. We'll have more news after this.
Yes, money is something we should talk about and plan for and use to make life better. It's how we make our giant leap from where we are to where we want to be. So let's talk together and work together to check off shiny new kitchens, fully nested dorm rooms, and bucket lists with more countries than our passports can hold. Let's check them all off together. First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes. Member FDIC.
Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Start your lunch with your choice of a Bud Light, iced tea, or Coca-Cola. Plus, free bottomless chips with salsa. Then choose a variety of fresh entree options like our savory beef enchiladas, quesadilla explosion salad, or our Cajun chicken pasta. Experience fresh flavors in every bite with Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. At Chili's, fresh is happening now.
11 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. A report from the Office of Public Accountability scrutinizing the service agreement between the Guam Regional Transit Authority and Kloppenberg Enterprises is now under review by the Federal Transit Administration. In response to an inquiry from the Guam Daily Post, the Federal Transit Administration advised that it is reviewing the audit and will determine whether additional federal action is necessary. GRTA currently has about $4.7 million in grant funding. The audit determined the Transit Authority spent about $11 million without a proper contract with bus operations provider Kloppenberg Enterprises. The OPA also found issues with overbilling and noncompliance with procurement law. Federal grant funding was utilized to purchase GRTA vehicles, which are now in disrepair due to lack of maintenance. Delays in processing the selection of a new food vendor has forced the Department of Corrections to enter into emergency procurement. DOC Deputy Director Kate Baltazar says services with the current vendor, Basil Food Industrial Services Corporation, was extended 30 days after the contract expired on March 31st. She said GSA is still in the process of selecting a vendor for the new contract, and the 30-day emergency procurement became necessary. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray's here with some weather.
Monday morning weather, Kevin, partly cloudy with isolated light showers. Winds east up to about 20 miles an hour, decreasing 10 to 15 miles an hour this evening. Daytime highs hot 89 degrees and overnight lows of about 76 degrees. And the big question I think some of you might have is, where the heck did all that weather come from on Friday night?
That was crazy, right?
I was someplace and I thought there was something wrong with the lights outside because I couldn't hear anything, and I'm looking out I'm looking through this window and I'm thinking there's something wrong with the big overhead lights that they've got there, and it wasn't big overhead lights.
It was the biggest overhead lights we get.
There was lightning like you wouldn't believe, and it was coming down in sheets. What a night!
Yeah, but we had just a combination of tropical moisture and a northerly surge, which is really nothing more than a dying cold front, and they kind of came together right overhead on Friday, and wow, yeah. It was quite a night.
Boy, there we go. Yeah. What a thing! What a thing! And now, do we have any more of those in the forecast?
We don't, not for this week, but maybe this weekend there might be a return of some of that tropical moisture. So we'll have to watch that.
Because whatever it is, it's also making the frogs come out.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that? The suicidal frogs in the road? No. They're going from one side of the street to the other and will throw themselves under your tires.
Well, and the reason the frog crossed the road is completely different than the reason the chicken did.
It could be. Now, the other thing is, depending on where you are, if you live near a whole lot of boondocks, you might also see some brown termites coming out. They were all over the place yesterday morning.
Yeah, yesterday morning. It was crazy.
And I think that's what the frogs are coming out to see if they can go and snack on a whole bunch of those, and don't realize that they're actually playing in traffic.
So that reminds you of those plagues.
Plenty going on. Plenty enough with nature going on here. 6:15 in the morning. It's The Point News and Weather Together here, brought to you by Bank Pacific, where others put branches, they place roots.
On April 14th, join Bank of Guam for the first ever Hagåtña City E-Fair Run and Block Party to benefit the Guam Cancer Care and the American Cancer Society Guam. This event begins with a sunset run through our capital, starting at 5 p.m. at the Chamorro Village, and the excitement continues at our block party with food trucks, beer garden, live entertainment, and the greatest beast competition, and a fun-filled kids zone. The Hagåtña City E-Fair Run and Block Party, Saturday, April 14th, brought to you by Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
Portions of the program brought to you by our friends over at Cold Stone. Time for a Cold Stone break. Try the new strawberry shortcake and fresh lemon pie ice cream. Now, what you do here is you mix them with your favorite fruits and nuts and candies and those golden Oreo cookies. A lot of people say, Ray, tell me more about those golden Oreo cookies. You ever see the old ladies running around and they get those big 7-day bracelets going on? That's what they're made from. 7-day bracelets. A little known fact, they're not actually made of gold. They're made from golden Oreo cookies, and they make that noise. It's a fair investment, and you can eat them too. Cold Stone Creamery at the Guam Premier Outlets and the Micronesia Mall.
Many things on our island need attention. The Gutierrez Bordallo team understands the importance of addressing problems and finding solutions to all quality of life issues. Gutierrez Bordallo is committed to properly funding and staffing our customs agency. This first line of defense against drugs, terrorism, invasive species, and other crimes must be allowed to retain their customs users' fees without interference. And the financial relationship between GIAA and Customs needs to be examined and equitably maintained.
I'm Carl Gutierrez, and I approve this message.
Portions of the show also brought to you by Security Title, making sure you actually own the property you think you just bought.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. 17 minutes after 6 o'clock in the morning, and welcome to the Ray Gibson Show on The Point. I'm not here doing this by myself. It's important that I share the fun. My folks always told me that when I was a share. You got those nice toys at the radio station, share. So we share a lot of the technology with Mike Knight. He gets the phone when you call it 888-8255. And Kevin Kerrigan, and if Kevin only read to you the stories that he's written for the Post, it'd still be a 10-minute long newscast. You've been busy in the last couple of days.
We all have. What a team we've got down there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And some great stories that you're covering, including the one that has the biggest question question mark in my head is it will take now months before we can get to the ground on amnesty?
Yeah,
we had a little bit of that on Friday.
Right. Well, he was, you recall last Tuesday at the SES meeting, John Camacho was implored by Senator Espaldon and Speaker Cruz to reconsider a tax amnesty. But, and he did. Yeah. He met with the governor last week, and they decided that, they're going to hold off a little while before making a final decision on that to see what comes in terms of income tax returns and the 1% increase in the BBT. So they'll wait a couple of months and just see what the financial position is and then decide.
I thought we were in dire financial straits here. I mean, enough to support an increase in the BPT and talk about furloughs. They shut down the Estumbo and the PD fire station, Kev.
One of the accountants I spoke with last week mentioned the 80-20 rule. If you do a tax amnesty, you get about 20%. So if you bring in $20 million, you're leaving $80 million back out there
waiting for the next amnesty,
and that's one of his big concerns, plus the fairness issue.
But it's the 80-20 rule because we suck at enforcement. If we were serious about this, and tell you what, if you're the one that's doing the 20% and we're leaving the $80 million, we've got an army of guys that are going to go after the $80 million, and we are going to start seizing and we're going to start garnishing, and there's going to be asset control around here. But it never comes to. They never do that. They never do that.
Isn't that interesting?
You don't see too many of those big cases with big names and going through the courts and saying so-and-so didn't pay their taxes, and so we took all of their land. And so I think that's the point of this amnesty. We'll get the money out of the people that can pay or that are willing to pay and that might be enticed to do it without the interest and the penalties that might be accrued here. Yeah. But for the rest of the guys, what are they gonna do? Put me in jail? What are they going to do? Take my land? No, because I'd be hard pressed to recall a time where we've ever done that. So that's the self-fulfilling prophecy. And yeah, as a matter of fact, it probably would be a little unfair to people that are paying their taxes on a regular basis and all of the fees and things into the government of Guam. It probably would be unfair to them. Yeah. But we need the dough, or don't we?
Well, it's just interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to sort this all out.
No payless paydays,
Oh no! Now we're in a good enough position. We can
the
wait and see.
ballparks are opening back up. The swimming pool.
3 weeks ago, Kev, we were in just dire straits. Oh my God, we're going off the rails around here. This is going to be so bad. Children will be running around with no shoes and just their underwear. Yay! As long as we've got the golden Oreo cookies, we'll be all right. So, I mean, it's just going to take them months to decide this. Dude, it took them 3 weeks to get through, to go from we're in dire financial straits to an increase in the BPT 2% gross receipts or sales tax in October. That happened fast. But now that it's coming to there's a revenue opportunity for the government, we're going to take our time. We're okay. So I'm just trying to sort all this through in the small head that I've got for you, and maybe a little bit slower this morning because the weekend activity. There's a lot of stuff going on. I ran in the half marathon yesterday.
How did you do?
I came in. Hold on. I knew you would ask, so I actually looked up the numbers. My time, what you say, the Daily Post has a listing of all of the people. So it's in I want to say it's today's. They've got a supplement with all of the times. Now, these are what are called gun times. They're not chip times. Right. So the chip time is more accurate because it counts the time where you actually step over the line with your chip. Okay. And then you step back on the line at the finish line.
Which, if you're at the back of the line, could have been 30 seconds.
And I like to start in the back. Yeah. That's how I start. That's how I guarantee I start slow. So I start a little further back and then try to catch, first place in the race. So I start slow and I don't gas out too early. So, I'm not one of those guys in the front. There's half marathon male Ryan Matienzo, 1 hour and 19 minutes. Masaki Tashima, 1 hour 22 minutes, and Ben Middlebrook at 1 hour and 25 minutes. Now, give you an idea of how this compares to me. Ryan Matienzo got in at 1 hour and 19 minutes. He was toweled off and his hair was coiffed, and he did put on new clothes and all of that stuff, and probably had a chance to run to King's and get breakfast while I was still out there on the road. It took me 2 hours and 9 minutes.
Well, that's
to get in.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It wasn't bad. Come to think of it, I was 159th out of a field of 784. So I was feeling pretty groovy.
That's about 4 hours and 37 minutes shorter than it would have taken me to run it. So,
so that's I think a lot of people had a good time. So congratulations, kudos, and I don't want to single out too many people, but because there's an army of folks that I'll forget. It's just everybody up and down the course. The water stations were dead on.
Nice.
And the ones that I passed by, especially the governor's office. I got to do my shout to Lakeisha because I saw her the other night and I said, listen, you'll see me at, I don't know, about 4:55, something like that. And then you'll see me again in about another 20 minutes. And she said, really, why? I said, because you're there at the course. You know, you're at the end, you're near the end of mine. So I got to her and she hands me a water and then 20 minutes later, sure enough, she says, oh my God, you're back. I said, I would be. I told you I'd be right back. And so she cut me some more water and great recovery stations up and down the route. And the organization was just absolutely terrific. And the best part for me for the race was, and this is the part that I've been bragging on, is the last part of the race. There's a heartbreak because you got to go back up JFK Hill.
Oh yeah, wow.
So from the gas station, you go down, and then you got to go back up JFK, make it to the top of the Kmart intersection, and then back down into Tumon. That's not fun, but my friend Mike Knight said it was going to rain.
That's right.
And so it started raining.
I was about to ask.
About 6 minutes after.
Perfect time.
Oh, yeah. It was absolutely perfect. I mean, the sun hadn't come out. You know, my core temperature. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to, it's like that says Scene in Deliverance or something. You know, this is gorgeous. And so I really had a good time with it. So congratulations to United and Ben Ferguson and Steve Reuter and all of the teams that got together to put that race together. Sorry about everybody got stuck in traffic though. That was unintended consequence. I parked here at the radio station. We're right next to DPW, right across from DPW, because I figured when I'm done with the race, I'll walk back up the hill. And I'll jump in the car, and I'll make a left turn onto Marine Corps Drive, and I'm finished. You couldn't make a left turn onto Marine Corps Drive. It was 4 solid lanes in this direction headed south, and I'm told that it was 4 solid lanes from the ITC building all the way up to Kmart. So sorry about that. Chief didn't think it was going to be that, and it was busy like that all morning long. So I ended up spending a little time here at the radio station getting caught up on some Monday work, if you know what I mean. Well, I'm here. I just stink. That's all. But I got the rest of it done. 6:25 in the morning. Other items in the table of contents for me. The very interesting thing. And I can't even remember why I started chasing it around, but trying to get a hold of my cousin Mike Benito and John and Michael Imtiaco to talk about their egg farm. And we got Mike Benito on the line last week, and we were talking about it, and Tom had it, and I talking about the public hearing that they had on Friday. And as far as I was concerned, and we've seen this happen before, I figured it was just going to be a get-together where they said, we just need to extend the lease on this for another bunch of years, so might be able to get some financing, and might be able to get some support from bankers and lenders and investors that might not want to do it if our lease was shorter. And so that turns into a conversation where it's 26 years and then multiple 10-year extensions that they can do after this. When this all, the original partners are all going to be dead. Number one. But they're talking about doing it. Is it rent-free? Is that what I'm getting from these guys?
Very interesting story.
It is an interesting story, and then so they're not going to be charged rent, but they'll be able to charge rent for people in subleases, and they're asking questions about how is how is all of this going to be coming back? So we'll see if we can get a hold of some of the players. As I said, sometimes it comes down to somebody has got to read what it is that they're proposing. And near as I can tell, the two people that did a lot of reading on this are Senator Mary Torres, and the other one is Darrell Taggarty, who you will hear from time to time, and may even hear from him this morning as we break this into bite-sized chunks. So, yeah, I like fresh eggs. I don't know if I like them that much. You know, where's the Carmelites? The Carmelites used to be able to run down to the Carmelites' place and get some fresh eggs. Maybe we'll just get some chickens out in the backyard and throw some feed around and find out where the mama chicken is keeping eggs, and we'll just get those every day. You know, I'm not trying to run a restaurant or anything. Not trying to run a grocery store. Just like to have a couple of fresh eggs every once in a while.
They don't cost $1 a piece.
But I'm trying to figure out, and I don't know this because I didn't get raised on a farm. The question is, how do you know when you're getting the eggs that you're getting an egg that's ready to be eaten and not an egg that's ready to be a balut?
Well, that's why you keep the males and females separate.
Got
So,
what?
As long as you keep the males and females separate, there's no risk of that happening.
What do you mean there's no risk of that happening?
Chickens have sex too.
Well, I know, but then
So if you
then
keep the
here
males
comes
and
then
females-
here comes the egg, right?
But if they don't get together, you can't fertilize the eggs. So.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Said, you're right. I should have paid more attention the last time I was
Get
over
up,
at the.
it's Jesus Day.
Everybody on Guam heard that. Everybody on Guam heard us tell the story of that woman tasing her son on Easter morning. Get up, it's Jesus Day.
Get up, it's Jesus Day.
So that's what we were all saying yesterday after the half marathons and everything. When it was all done, there's all these people going, okay, got to go to church. Got to finish up. Got to go to church.
Get up, it's Jesus Day.
6:29. The amazing. Who knows what we'll hear today? Who knows what we'll hear today? I understand I got an interview with the Colonel from KFC a little bit later on this morning. Right around the same time, Baby Joe Taimanglu is back after his victorious UFC mixed martial arts victories. And he is also going to be spending some time here in the studios. A bunch of other stories that we'll chew on. And I don't know, do we have an update? While I was yakking, did you get a update about traffic? No? The last thing we've got is Highway Patrol Division currently investigating 2 traffic fatalities. The first fatal crash, an auto-ped, about 1:20 this morning on Marine Corps Drive and Woostig Road. And I'm looking at the traffic. There's still a buildup there in both directions on your way into Woostig. So expect delays as you make your way south. Oh boy, it looks like there's some major delays working on your way south. Northbound traffic is going to be slowing down, and we also know that there was some tension. Yep, there it is on Route 3, just before Tedu Lane, if you're heading towards the intersection. Watch out, there are going to be some lane closures there. Crash investigators have been on the scene in both locations all morning long, so expect delays. Traffic, they say, will be affected, and we'll let you know as best as we can as we watch our monitoring here on the Right Now traffic gizmos that we've got laid out in the island. 6:30 in the morning, and you're listening to The Point. My name is Ray Gibson. Here's Kevin Kerrigan with this morning's 6:30 headlines.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 31 minutes past 6 a.m. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, Guam police this morning investigating the deaths of 2 people in separate traffic accidents early this morning. The first involved a vehicle and a pedestrian at Woostig Road and Route 1. That happened about 1:30 this morning. The second fatal accident occurred less than an hour later at Route 3 near Ukadu High School. A blue sedan flipped over, wrapped around a concrete pole. No further details are available on the accidents at this time. However, Guam police advise motorists to expect traffic delays in those areas this morning as separate investigations continue into those fatal accidents. The condition of a man pulled from the waters on Saturday night in Ipan, Talafofo, unknown. Guam Fire Department search and rescue crews were called to the beach Saturday night after a man was reported missing. Rescue personnel were able to locate the man and bring him to shore. He was transported to Naval Hospital, where his condition is not known at this time, or not reported at this time. Island mayors have assumed oversight and responsibility over 3 federally funded programs for senior citizens from the Department of Public Health and Social Services. The 3 programs, adult daycare services, case management services, and in-home services, were previously contracted out to Catholic Social Services. Agana Heights Mayor Paul McDonald says the responsibility was given to mayors because of their experience with managing the senior citizens program. He said 90 employees who were under the 3 programs have started transitioning as GovGuam employees. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
iConnect time in the studio. Here is 6:32. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Don't dump that cooking water down the sink. You can reuse it for other purposes, such as watering your plants or garden. After boiling pasta or steaming veggies, let the water cool and then recycle away.
Catch more Clean and Green Living tips every day and get inspired to make a cleaner, greener effort in your community. Happy Earth Month from the stations of Choice Broadcasting.
Yeah, so just a few minutes ago, told you about northbound traffic, Marine Corps Drive up to Woostig. You're going to get some snags down there. Traffic building southbound, as well as police on the scene investigating that accident. Route 3, also the scene of an accident this morning. Not quite to GRMC, but we've got traffic building in mostly the outbound on Route 3 towards the GRMC intersection. Nothing else to worry about. We are seeing some of the usual build over in Chalampago and Manila near the school, as folks are making their way back into their Monday morning groove. And what's this I'm looking at down in Agate, huh? Got a little bit of build trying to get out of the village. Right before the river, you might see some snags. Yeah, coming in southbound. I'm sorry, it's folks that are going into the village of Agate. What's happening there? Is it mango fiesta time? Mango season already? 6:34, and that's right now traffic here on the point.
This time, let's hear it from the first KFC female colonel.
Smoky Mountain Barbecue, fried chicken so crispy and sweet. That crispy fried chicken. All right, stop, I can't do this. I thought if I dressed up like a country music legend, it would help KFC sell my delicious new Smoky Mountain Barbecue.
KFC, it's finger licking good.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Let's go Monday. Come on, everybody, get moving. There's work to be done and school to be going to and people we got to find and get down to the ground on a number of issues here. Playing around with some topics. The first one that hit me into rant mode. It is months before the tax amnesty is going to be decided on. I want to wait it out. You find this in Saturday's Guam Daily Post. The director of the Department of Revenue and Taxation said an amnesty remains under consideration, but it'll be at least a couple of months before the final decision is made. And they said, we want to do that so that we can see if how this increase in the BPT is going to be working out. And we'll see what the collections at the Department of Revenue and Taxation looks like. Because, and I'm going, well, that doesn't make any sense here, because every expert you talk to says, hey, an amnesty might be a good idea. The guys over at the legislature, Jimmy Espaldon and B.J. Cruz, go, and this amnesty thing might be a good idea. It wasn't that long ago that we were all crying in our beer about how tough it was with this Trump tax cut thing, and we don't have enough money here, and we've got to increase the BPT, and we've got to do this, that, and the other, and then it gets done, and everybody goes, oh, I guess we can just kick back here, right? We just drag our feet on the collection and enforcement side, and that's just. I'm sorry. I thought we were in a fiscal emergency. I thought it was a fiscal crisis. I thought we needed every single solitary penny that we could possibly get our hands on. And maybe not. You know, I got Daryl Taggarty on the line, and maybe, you know, Daryl's view is going to be, well, maybe we don't need any money if we're going to be giving away Chamorro Land Trust land for 100 years with no rent. Morning, Daryl.
Good morning, Ray.
So this is what happens when I don't read a piece of legislation. Is I might miss a couple of things that look like loopholes, but since you're an old school policy wonk, you were able to find a couple. I like fresh eggs. But is this?
I do too. I think the Lim Giaco and Mike Benito are on the right track, and I think they were on the right track the first time around. I just don't understand why the legislature has to get involved to do something that the executive agencies already took care of. They already have the law. They already have the power to do these things, and everybody's doing them for the right reasons. And then, there's something missing here. I don't buy that. I just don't. It either worked. It either was going to work the first time, or there's a game on.
Well, tell me what you think. Tell me what you think the game is. You know, because I'm kind of slow on Mondays.
The legislature. This is the game. The legislature makes a program, and it says, okay, everybody is going to this. This is the rule. Everyone's going to play by. But then they make it their business to carve out exemptions that give someone more than everyone gets. And it happens with zoning. It happens with, in this particular case, it's the value of land. So the Manhita was formed because it was a good business deal with the 24 years remaining and the on that lease and the building that was on the property.
Okay.
Okay, so that was good enough. They were going to make money at it. It makes sense all the way around. 24 years is a long time.
That's
right. You can do plenty of egg laying in 24 years. I mean, that's longer than the life of a chicken. Also, you know, and it's longer than it takes to recoup your investments. But all of a sudden, it becomes a game of finance. You could always make more money if you've got more. If you could always do better as a business person if you've got an advantage.
Of course.
That's what the legislature was in the business of dishing out on, you know, with Bill 265. And I'm so tired of it. I've been watching this over the years, where a senator will pop up with a bright idea. Either somebody approached them or they approached the person and said, "Hey."
Because I mean, this in my mind, it was innocuous. It was just a bill to extend the lease on this property, and it makes sense to me, because if they're going to be in there for the long term, then it might be good to be able to get investors in for the long term, get the bank financing that they need for the long term, so that, frankly, Cousin Mike, you're selling the eggs for cheaper than you're selling them at Payless now.
They're selling them to Payless.
Well, I know. I'm just trying to figure out how we can get the price down, because they're from here, and we didn't have to ship them in frozen or cold.
Well, I mean, if you're in the testimony, I was watching. You know, besides what I came up with. Here's the the local rep for USDA. He says, yeah, if they had a 49-year, a little over 49 years on the lease, which is 10 years more than the life of the loan, we could lend them, we could give them terms for them to set up labor barracks. Now,
labor barracks. Are these chickens working out too?
No, to bring in labor, have labor live on site. Well, that's common for migrant workers. But if you're going to have a chicken farm predicated on H-2 workers, and already the feds are getting tough about having H-2 workers just for civilian construction.
Yeah.
I mean, really. You're expecting to get gardeners in here. You're expecting to get what? This is an old style thinking, but it has nothing to do with that. The whole hearing was about let's make this one transaction between Manhita and Gita Agriculture and Chamorro Land Trust. Let's maximize the value of this property.
Well, if they're getting the property, I mean, they've already made an investment. I understand $300,000, and went to Gita and paid off what was owed to Gita. And so they have made an investment in this, so it's not scot-free. But we are talking about some breaks on the leasing of the property, and then the capabilities of being able to do subleases for which they would get the rent, not the government of Guam. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
And those are not powers that are granted to anyone else when they go through. I mean, unless it's like ITC building. Of course, you're going to have leases of the space in the building. Okay, that's normal, but not agricultural land. We've watched agricultural land become everything over the last 40 years. Just because it's zoned agriculture doesn't mean that it's not restricted.
Right. That's true.
And also, if the government's concern, all the way to the legislature's level, if the government's concern is that Manhita Farms may not be able to make money after making an investment, I don't think Manhita Farms did the calculations wrong at the beginning. I think that they knew that they could produce eggs cheaper than bringing them in, with the 24 years and the 300,000. But now all of a sudden, it's the concern of the people of Guam that Manhita Farms is not going to make enough money. And that was what the hearing was about. I don't think we aren't going to make enough money. We could be better off just to let the farm just sit there.
So go get the $300,000 back.
They even said that.
So if you can't do it with that, then maybe you got to go get the monies back. Interesting. You in the Post article, it says Taggarty is promising to release a list of all private bills that have passed with no clear benefit to the public if the legislature approves the Manhita Farms lease.
Well, I don't know if I could ferret out every bill, but there are bills. There are bills, and there's all kinds of things that the legislature has passed as special legislation that benefits only the party and does not benefit the public.
Can you give me a for instance?
Gifts. Okay, let me give you an example, and this is the one that really, really touches home to me because I have a condo on Epau Road, and I've been waiting for years and years and years for that road to be improved, and the Public Works has been saying, well, we're going to do it when we get all the land that we need to make the road wide, continuous, all the way from Marine Drive down to the Hilton.
Yeah. I've been waiting for that too. I'm trying to remember how many directors of DPW have been on my show to tell me that we're that close.
Yes. Now, one of the main reasons was the trail that goes from the top of the hill above the Hilton by SDA Clinic.
Mm-hmm.
From there down to the intersection at the Hilton, the government land is only the outer lane. It's not the inner lane. The property lines run right down the middle of the road.
I had no idea. I had no idea. Okay.
Yeah. And so the government, even when the land down the hill was for sale, the government didn't step in and buy it, or buy what it needed. It's been negotiating with the people up the hill to buy their land. And also there's a piece of property down by the 76 station. And that happened to be the way that the lands were originally carved up.
Just a quick note here. I don't mean to interrupt you, but this is important for motorists. Route 1 and Woostig are open where the accident was. They've apparently completed their investigation or down on the short rows on it, so there should not be too much. There might be some lingering effect here for a few minutes, but looks like we'll make 7 o'clock drive time without too much delay for motorists there. So what was the what was the nature of the private bill on that road?
There was a piece of land. You may know that there is, you may have noticed that the power line runs from E-Power Road. It runs straight down to the intersection of GVB,
okay,
where GVB is sitting. There is an easement that goes straight down from the top of E-Power Road, at the very top, before it makes a turn to go down, wiggle down the hill. Well, in a private bill that was attached as a rider during a lame duck omnibus after Christmas gift fest, the government gave away a piece of land at the top of the road to a landowner there, out of appreciation for his civic.
Letting him use the easement
over the years. And now there's a house. They built a house on it.
Cool.
It was a piece of land that was part of the right of way that could have made the government could have gone straight down to the intersection at GVB and not had to get into the negotiations to buy the road, the lands snaking down towards the Hilton intersection.
So this it sounds to me like one of those cases. It reminds me of back when we had all of that property that the Fed gave us on Naval Air Station, and then gave it to people, and now we're renting it from them, what we originally owned.
That land was supposed to have, the federal government doesn't release lands to original landowners.
No.
Anymore.
No.
Not anymore. It used to. But it doesn't anymore. And it gave it to the government of Guam, and the legislature said, we're going to release this land back to the original landowners, even though it was clearly needed in the commitment to Department of Transportation, U.S. Department of Transportation, to build the parkway, because that was the plan.
Since 1995, we're just now getting around to demolishing some of the homes on that stretch of road. I don't know if you've seen it.
Well, all those properties were given back to the original landowners with reversion clauses. So they had it both ways. They gave it back, but they didn't really give it back.
I recall the conversation. We had many times, many interviews on that subject. But as I said, here's something that we own free and clear, so we're going to give it to somebody and then rent it from them a little bit later on. And it made absolutely no sense, considering you got guys that had negotiated, I thought, a pretty good opportunity to turn the entire place into a I don't know, what do you call it, technology farm, kind of an industrial zone. But we never saw that happen, and that would have put money in the original landowners' pockets as opposed to giving them hovels of land. 6:51. Daryl, I'm gonna let you run. I want to bring Ken into the conversation. So happy Monday to you.
Thanks for the discussion.
No, it's always fun. I'll see you pretty soon. Have a good morning.
You too.
It's 9 minutes away from the top of the hour. Ken LG been listening to the conversation between Daryl and I, and what he's referring to as a private bill, and this sure feel good piece.
Well, I sat there at the testimony on the bill, and I was impressed by the presentation. It's a very good presentation. Just as I'm sure the presentation GRRP did was very good, and the one Guam White TK did was very good. It comes down to execution. Now, I actually looked at that property, and I was going to put a farm on to put 100 or more people with developmental disabilities to work, raising fruits and vegetables. But I was told in no uncertain terms that we can't have it because it's supposed to generate income from Chamorro Land Trust. And I was going to use the federal offsets. You know, when people with disabilities are employed full-time, it saves the government about $1,800 a month.
Okay.
So I was going to try to use the offsets as credit towards the rent. But I was informed by Gita, no, this land is to generate cash to do surveying and infrastructure for Chamorro Trust lands. Well, this bill doesn't do that. It extends the no payment for 100 years. So there's going to be no money going to Chamorro Trust lands on this bill. That was the first problem I had. The second problem I have is this land was apparently a handshake backroom deal because this was never announced to the public in such a way to generate interest.
Now, wait, well, hold on a second, because that calls into question the involvement of the Guam Economic Development Authority, which originally had a lease with someone on it. They defaulted on it, and then the business reverted back to Gita. And so I don't know that there's an obligation that Gita has to go out and advertise all of these defaults that they have and let people know about the opportunities. It seems to me that anybody that might have been interested in it could have found out.
Well, the whole problem with the lease is when you get into the original lease and the laws that created it, the lease was in default before Gita ever took over the lease. And so once the lease was in default, it was dead. And Gita did nothing to cure the lease. All they had to do was pay $150,000 a year, the minimum lease rent to Chamorro Land Trust, and they didn't. Now, they claim they have a letter from Department of Agriculture giving them permission to waive the fee. But there's nothing in the public law that allows the Director of Agriculture to waive lease payments to Chamorro Land Trust. So that's another problem. Then the other problem is they're trying to maintain the fiction this lease is alive, and even though the lease says 50 years and no more, but it's not even a 50-year lease. It was a 10-year lease with 4 increments, subject to approval by Department of Agriculture. And on the 3rd year, there was a mandatory certification by Department of Agriculture that the farm is producing and viable. And instead of that certification, there's a letter from Kusan requesting a 1-year extension because the farm is not viable yet. And they want 1 more year to prove viability, after which they were foreclosed. So the lease is dead there, too. So if Gita wanted to maintain the fiction the lease was alive, at the minimum, they should have
paid $150,000 to the Chamorro Land Trust. Now, as you said, and John Limtiaco's on the other line. He wants to call in and present the other side. And I've got another 4 minutes left before the top of the hour. So let me just take a couple of these points and ask John to comment on them in a second. So was the lease or is the lease alive? Did the Department of Agriculture allow for the Gita not to pay the Chamorro Land Trust? Did they have the authority to do that? There was a third point. What did I miss?
The third point is, in order for the lease to be alive, there was supposed to be a certification by Department of Agriculture in writing after year 3.
A certification of viability of the farm.
Certification of viability in order to continue the lease for the first increment.
Okay. Now, as I said, I got John on the other line, so Ken, I'm going to let you run, and let me just bring these points to him. If either of you guys want more airtime on this, we can revert back to the conversation after the 7:30 headlines. All right?
All right.
Talk to you soon. Good morning, Cousin John.
Yes, Ray.
I appreciate you jumping in, and anybody knows me knows I like to hear both sides of the story, and the way it is written in the Daily Post and some of the comments that Daryl have made and Ken have made, is along with points that Mary Torres have made, are certainly very compelling. So I wanted to go over some of those points with you, if you don't mind.
Sure, and I'm willing to continue after the top of the hour news.
Okay, well, I've got a couple of things that go in after that, so it might not be until about 7:30 or so, but I appreciate your willingness to continue the conversation. Was the lease alive when you got to it?
Ray, that all happened before our time, but let me first comment on some of the things that were said that GETA never advertised. That is completely false. GETA testified to it, and I'm sure the record will show that they went out several times to local real estate companies to try and find buyers, and there was never any buyers. It was also advertised, and Today Realty handled the sale of the property, and we were the only offers. In fact, in his testimony the other day, Mr. Leon Guerrero testified that he went out and also tried to get this lease, but it seems that he said the lease was dead in his testimonies, in his statements. So why was he trying to pick up the lease himself, knowing it was a dead lease? So there's some conflicting.
Well, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and it sounds like there's obviously a competitor involved here, which was not part of the discussion when I started it. That's interesting to me. But whether the lease was dead or alive, and whether or not the Department of Agriculture could waive payments to the Land Trust Commission, the Chamorro Lands Commission, was that done? Did they do that, and did they have the authority to do it?
Ray, that was all before our time. That was 20-plus years ago. We just came in, had interest in acquiring some agricultural property for our produce farm and our egg farm, and we just went in and asked, do they have anything available? And they said, yes, we do, but we have to go out and advertise it and bid out to a realty company to handle it. Mm-hmm. So, what happened in the past, we're not completely sure of, and I don't think it should be put on us to justify what a government did many years ago. The people who are there at GETA now, some of them are still there, but most of the officials who were there in the past, those guys are all gone. So I can't answer for what they did.
The sins of the past.
I didn't go back to the history.
John, I tell you what, I have 15 seconds left in the hour, and it's not time for a question or an answer. In fact, it's time for an ID. I'll be in touch with you in the next hour, if that's all right.
All right, that's fine.
I appreciate it. It's 7 a.m., the radio station. It's KUSG. We are The Point. Time now for Fox News Live.
Anger and condemnation. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News. A suspected chemical weapons attack in Syria on Saturday causing anger internationally and in Washington. More on that now live from Fox News, Gunal Scott.
Paul, following the alleged chemical attack on Syrian citizens, White House Homeland Security Advisor Tom Bossert on ABC's This Week says it's a senseless attack.
These are horrible photos. We're looking into the attack at this point.
Bossert says the world is expecting the U.S. to act, but it shouldn't be only our responsibility.
The United States of America has been taken advantage of in their responsibility to provide security for the entire world. We need regional partnership increased.
World involvement is expected tomorrow when an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council is convened to address Syria and perhaps Russia's involvement, with which both have denied, Paul.
Journal Fox News confirming that North Korea has told the U.S. that leader Kim Jong-un is prepared to talk about ending his nuclear program. That's a major step toward clearing the way for a possible summit meeting between Kim and President Trump. No word, though, on how that assurance was delivered, but other reports suggest the two countries are engaged in some back-channel communications. The co-founder of Facebook getting ready for Capitol Hill.
Lawmakers from both parties in the House and Senate have demanded answers from Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg about the social media company's handling of personal information. Facebook concedes more than 85 million users' information was improperly accessed by political research firm Cambridge Analytica. Users will be notified if they were affected this week. Tuesday, Zuckerberg will face questions from a joint hearing with the Senate's Commerce and Judiciary Committees. The next day, he'll He'll testify for the House Energy and Commerce Committee about data protection. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
And Facebook confirming today that it is suspending the data analytics firm CubeU, which apparently used so-called personality quizzes to help marketers find customers. Fox News, fair and balanced.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Hey, it's your stomach again. Subway has all new signature wraps, and around the water cooler, the other stomachs can't stop talking about them. Chipotle Southwest Steak and Cheese, Turkey, Bacon, and Guac, Rotisserie-style Chicken Caesar signature wraps. Listen, if I'm honest, as a talking stomach, I don't have a lot of life experience. But I do know one thing. These signature wraps are jam-packed with meat. So what are you waiting for? I'm growling over here. Subway. Make it what you want.
Border Patrol agents catching some illegal immigrants in California after an accident.
We know that 19 people were taken into custody, all of them believed to be from Mexico. And right now, authorities are trying to figure out how many of them are here illegally, and if so, what happens to them. The accident took place yesterday just east of San Diego. A horse trailer suspected of carrying illegal immigrants crashed on Interstate 8, and at least 20 people were spotted fleeing into a mountainous area. They were chased down by the California Highway Patrol. It was a true scramble, but the Border Patrol ended up arresting 19 people, and at least 6 of them were taken to area hospitals.
Fox's Anita Vogel in Los Angeles. Those injuries described as moderate and minor. Gas prices on the rise again, up 8 cents over the past 2 weeks to an average $2.74 a gallon nationwide.
In this panel of cities in the lower 48 states, Baton Rouge is the low, $2.37 for regular, and the high is San Francisco at $3.63.
Analyst Trilby Lundberg with the Lundberg Survey. Some folks in the state of Maine now claiming a new record for the largest ice carousel.
About 100 volunteers cut a huge hole in an icy lake in the town of Sinclair, some 400 feet across, and got it spinning with help from outboard motors. One of the organizers thinks this ice carousel is bigger than the one that currently holds the record in Finland. So how was this accomplished on a lake with ice almost 3 feet thick? The group cut more than 1,300 holes with augers that are typically used in wood or on the ground. They also needed chainsaws and waited till now this spring when the ice begins to thaw a bit. Ken Duffy, Fox News.
Back 9 now at the Masters in Augusta as we speak. Patrick Reed still in front. He's at 14 under par. That's good for a 2-shot lead over Jordan Spieth, who's karting a 7 under par so far for the round today. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News Radio.
Looking for a reliable power system when the power goes out? Kohler Power Systems are quiet, reliable, and dependable. And they stay that way with regular service and support from the team at Morrico Equipment because they also offer qualified after-sales service and support for Kohler Power Systems. Kohler generator systems are sold and serviced on Guam by Morrico Equipment. You should call them now at 649-1946 or click morricoequipment.com.
Valley Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Valley Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Valley Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Valley Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
This time, let's hear it from the first KFC female colonel.
Smoky Mountain Barbecue, fried chicken so crispy and sweet. That crispy fried chicken.
All right, stop. I can't do this. I thought if I dressed up like a country music legend, it would help KFC sell my delicious new Smoky Mountain Barbecue.
KFC, it's finger licking good.
Water. It covers nearly 3/4 of our Earth, from vast oceans to millions of rivers and streams. We're all concerned with protecting our world's water, but none is more important than the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve your water so that your family is using the best water in the world. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
Come out for the 4th annual Chucky Run and Fun 5K, 2K, and Flyaway giveaway. Join us Saturday, April 14th at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam. Show at 5:30 and go at 6 a.m. T-shirts, medals, and other cool prizes, refreshments, and indoor activities after the races. Grand prize drawing for all participants is a trip package for 2 to Manila. Register at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam. $8 for students, $12 for adults, and group of 4 Super Saver for just $35. The 4th annual Chuck E. Run and Fun 5K, 2K, and Flyaway giveaway. See you there.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 7 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. A 50-acre public property in Jigo could be in the hands of the same business for up to 100 years, potentially rent-free. That decision rests in the hands of the Guam legislature. A public hearing on the proposed lease to the business took place Friday. At issue is the lease for Monjita Farms, secured from a previous leaseholder in 2015. The measure needs legislative approval. It involves a piece of Guam Department of Agriculture property. The Guam Economic Development Authority foreclosed on the farm that had the lease on the property, and according to Gita records, Monjita had only 24 years remaining on the lease. Monjita is asking for an extension on top of the first 50 years for a total of up to 100 years rent-free on the property. Senator Tom Atta sponsored the land lease legislation. He said the company's financial investments into developing the land would offset rent payments to the government. However, a former legislative staffer, Daryl Taggarty, opposing the bill, calling on lawmakers to throw it out, saying it is a private bill that gives a massive financial gift to Monjita Farms. In other news, Guam police this morning investigating the deaths of 2 people in separate traffic accidents early this morning. The first involving a vehicle and a pedestrian at Woostig Road and Route 1. It happened about 1:30 this morning. The second fatal accident occurred less than an hour later at Route 3 near Ukadu High School. A blue sedan flipped over and wrapped around a concrete power pole. No further details on the accidents are available at this time. However, GPD spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau says that Guam Highway Patrol has completed their investigation of the fatal accident at Route 1 in Woostig, and all lanes of traffic are now open there. There may still be some delays on Route 3 near Ukadu, near that fatal traffic accident earlier today. We'll have more news after this.
Ready to buy real estate on Guam? Congratulations! But what now? There's so many questions, so many things to do. Where do you start? The best place to start is to call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty, Guam's biggest name in real estate. They aren't the best because they're the biggest. They're the biggest because they're the best. Trust the name. Find out why. Call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty today. 888-2121. Trust the best.
Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Start your lunch with your choice of a Bud Light, iced tea, or Coca-Cola. Plus, free bottomless chips with salsa. Then choose a variety of fresh entree options like our savory beef enchiladas, quesadilla explosion salad, or our Cajun chicken pasta. Experience fresh flavors in every bite with Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. At Chili's, fresh is happening now.
11 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. The Guam Power Authority has received 18 responses in the initial phase of its 2-step bidding process for Guam's future power plant. GPA General Manager John Benavente says that the responses received in the first phase of the multi-step competitive bid process will establish a qualified bidders list. Qualified bidders will then be invited to submit proposals. GPA expects to award the Build, Operate, Transfer contract by the end of this year. The successful bidder will be responsible for financing and constructing a 120 to 180 megawatt power plant set for completion in 2021. The power plant anticipated to cost about $300 million to construct, another $100 million to build the transmission lines. The plant is intended to augment Guam Power Authority's capacity as well as meet U.S. Environmental Protection Agency regulations. GPA facing more than $150 million in potential fines from the U.S. EPA should its primary generators continue to fail to meet new emission standards. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and according to Cynthia Cabot, there has been a rise in the number of sexual assault reports. Cabot is the executive director of the Guam Coalition Against Sexual Assault and Family Violence. She reports the increase doesn't necessarily mean there's been an actual increase in the number of assaults, but could be an indication that more victims now know where they can go to get help or make a report. Cabot says many sexual assaults go unreported due to fear of retaliation and fear that no one will believe them. The coalition is working to create awareness this month and educate the public so more victims will come forward and seek help. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with a look at weather.
I got some for you. Thanks, Kevin. Partly cloudy skies today. There's isolated light showers. Easterly winds 15 to 20 miles an hour. Suicidal toads on the road chasing these little brown termites that are coming out of the boondocks because of all the rain that we had over the weekend. Decreasing to 10 to 15 mile an hour. Talking about the winds again. Decreasing to 10 to 15 miles an hour tonight. Daytime highs 89 degrees. Fairly cool overnight lows of about 76 degrees. Sunset tonight 6:33. We look forward to seeing the sun come up tomorrow about 6:11, 6:12. Fairly dry pattern expected through the week. Could have another round of showers and thunderstorms again like last weekend, next weekend. A weak disturbance passing by the south of Guam. You want details on that? Keep listening. If there's something that we need to hit you with heavy details on, you'll hear about it here on The Point. That's news and weather together.
In illness
7:13.
and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Wendy's has got the new smoky mushroom bacon cheeseburger. Smoky salsa, sauteed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, crispy applewood smoked bacon, it's meat candy, and crunchy fried onions atop a juicy beefy patty. It's only going to be around for a limited time, so get your hands and your mouth around one today.
Triple J says yes. Zero down? Yes. 1.9% financing? Yes. Easy trade-in? Yes. No payments for 90 days? Yes. We'll have you saying yes, too, to these amazing deals. Like our big boy truck, the Ford F-150 at only $217 per paycheck. Or the top safety pick Mazda CX-5 Sport at only $194 per paycheck. Or turn heads in the Mazda 3 Sport or the sleek and sophisticated Kia Soul. Both for only $129 per paycheck. Visit us online at triplejguam.com. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J. Customers first.
Portions of the program also brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes.
Don't wait another day and waste another dollar. You can start saving today. At Guahan Insurance Services, we are here to help protect your investment and save you money. We offer insurance advising for business, car, and home insurance. So come and visit us at our new office at Camacho Landmark Center at Marine Corps Drive in Timoning, and let us show you that you can count on us for all your insurance needs. Call 475-1162.
News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. The Ray Gibson Show.
Just reading up on the legislation. There's not much to it. I mean, there's a lot of the once upon a time part of the legislation in the front, legislative intent and findings, and then there's 3 or 4 basic things that we got to get through: the extension of the lease, subleases, and things like that. What I'm having a hard time in finding in that legislation, maybe is where in there does it say that they're rent free? for the next 100 years. Or I want to find that particular piece in there. Otherwise, it's really interesting to go. It's like a history lesson when you get past it. The exhibits are the original lease that goes back to 1991. Let me give you an idea of who signed off on this thing back once upon a time when this was fresh and, as Ken Leon Guerrero might say, live. It was attested by then Lieutenant Governor of Guam, Frank F. Blas. There's a signature for Joseph F. Ada, who was the governor of Guam at the time. The attorney general then, the same one we got now. Maybe she's got some recollection of all of this. Elizabeth Barrett Anderson. But this was before the days. This is 91. So this is before the days of the independent attorney general's office. This goes back to the days when Elizabeth basically worked for Joe, if you recall how it worked out. Then director of agriculture, Antonio Quidagua, and then a couple of the names of the guys, Dar Song Chung and John T. Lee, the secretary of Koo Sun American Corporation. Really, really interesting stuff you see in here. And I'm kind of curious where it was that Senator Torres draws the conclusion that this might be rent-free for all of the years that we're going to be doing it. Certainly, they've got some qualifying certificate advantages. And we'll spend some time with John Limtiaco a little bit later on talking about it in the hour. 7:17, any speaker, anytime. That's my goal here. Any screen, anytime. And right now, there's a couple of different ways that you can watch what's happening in the program. One of them is just by going to thepoint.gu. That's a good place if you don't want to be seen watching the show, because it's just on the website. Because I know every once in a while I'll be looking over the names on my list and go, hey, they work for another radio station. How fun is that? And then you can go to Facebook.com. And if you follow and like The Point, we'll let you know every single morning when we're live. And you can join the program then, as many of you have got Sonny Cruz there, John Wigston. Hey, Johnny, Kay Leah from the Congresswoman's office, my nephew R.D. Yeah, family's in there too. Joe Cepeda, Lynn, and Vince Felino, Ed Cruz, not that one, the other one, Mark Gonzalez, Ruben Mortera. Let me see here. Frankie Gutierrez, nice to see you there. Tracy Limtiaco, married to Michael, who is the brother of John, who was on a little bit ago. And she might be a valuable name to bring up one of these days, just as we talk about those 18 packets that got picked up for the Guam Power Authority. It looks like there's no shortage of people that want to build 180 megawatts worth of generation next to Guam Regional Medical City. I see Frank, I see Robert Lizama, and there's my buddy Ted Fernandez. Good to see you there, Teddy. Jody Duenas, Tammy Godwin. But wait, there's more. Greg Massey, who chimed in when we were talking about putting a worker barracks around the farm, and he says, unless they're farm workers, you can't do it. OSHA regulations and other federal requirements. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Wait. Rebecca Salazar, Chad Anderson, James Howard, Paris. We'll always have Paris. Blas is on the line. Bob and Connie, and Brad and Shelley and Army Lynn, and I see Ike Aseki is in there. These are, I say these names for a lot of reasons. Number one is it's nice to be surrounded by all of my friends this early in the morning. And then the other part is because there's advertisers going, hey, I wonder if anybody's listening to that show. Yeah, they are. And there's a whole bunch of important people listening to this program. It's just, all the names I mentioned, they got money in their pocket and they want to shop at your business. You should pick up some advertising on this station. Hey, this is the business portion of the show. It's okay for me to talk like that. Shall we take a look at what happened in the market over the weekend? Dow Jones Industrial Average is going to closed 572 points in the red the other day. They're going to open at around 23,000, just under 24,000 when the markets get back open tomorrow. NASDAQ at 69.15. They're also up by about 161 points. And the S&P 500 closing at 2,600. Almost flat here. Biggest loser? Well, by percentage, it's the Dow Jones, off by 2.34%. FTSE is also off by 71.83. The Nikkei Exchange will open today at 21,562. The misery index, the VIX, is at 21.49, up by 2.55 points. It'll do that when the Dow closes as ugly as it did. Going to Japan, 106.94. Dollar got a little bit stronger over the weekend. That's good news. Don't have any new numbers for Tapas, but West Texas trading at $62.06 for a barrel. They were talking earlier this morning about the price of a gallon of gasoline, the average price going up. It's by a few cents, $2.74 for regular, plain old, unleaded unlimited gasoline.
Ooh.
My heart bleeds.
Yeah.
My heart bleeds for my stateside counterparts here that are having to suffer through $2.74. Ha! We beat you again. Our price, $4.23. Winners.
Get up! It's Jesus Day.
No, you can't use that one. We're going to overuse that. The Archbishop's going to call up. He's going to go knock that off. Did I read that right? Where he's going to get? They're going for a confirmation on for him at the Department of Administration.
That's what I heard.
Archbishop Byrne or the other guy? The other Byrne. They got two Byrnes here. I checked. His accent is right. So the old timers will remember there used to be a guy with an accent in the Department of Administration, Rodney Webb, and Rodney still has even though he's been here forever, he still has that accent. And I saw him the other day, and he says, well, you know, if the guy's got an accent, might do a good job over at the Department of Administration. So that's where we are on the market report, and you see what's happening in the gasoline. I think I've caught up just about everybody on what you need to know if you're going to be doing any investments. Facebook, this is the big news, suspends another data analytics firm after CNBC discovers tactics used there, just like at Cambridge Analytica. White House Chief of Staff John Kelly blew up at Trump and threatened to quit. There's a lot of that. Trump rips Syria's Assad as an animal. You saw the images over the weekend, another chemical attack, and vows Putin will pay a big price. What's that mean? I don't know. Huh. Well, this is interesting. It's been a decade since Delta's merger with Northwest upended the industry. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Especially with what we're dealing with out here, where Delta has pulled out.
Boy, don't you miss the days of
Northwest?
Northwest,
sure.
Eastern.
Well, we
Continental
never had
Air
Eastern.
Micronesia.
We had Continental. We had Eastern. I remember when Pan Am used to fly in here regularly.
Yeah.
TWA flew in here regularly. What was the one out of Texas? You remember the was it Braniff? No.
Well, you've got Southwest, which is exclusively out of Hobby Airport.
Colored airplanes.
Yeah.
That was Braniff.
It was
yeah,
Braniff.
Yeah, they had the orange and the real color. Like
so they flew out to Guam, I want to say 80, 81, 82, something like that. And never mind the idea that we've got another airline servicing the community. What always stood out to me was that there used to be a place called the 10-4 Disco, and they would play disco music and country western music every once in a while. Just kind of mix them all together down at the Hilton, about where the oh golly, I think they've got the annex of the Islander Terrace in there now, but that used to be the 10-4, and so you'd get these Braniff flight attendants coming off the airplane. And I'm a kid from Guam. I'm 5'9", right? And that's tall for Guam, isn't it? so all of a sudden I'm surrounded in the 10-4 Disco by these Braniff flight attendants, Texas girls, and everything is bigger in Texas, right? And they're all 6.5 feet tall, and I'm thinking we need to fly this guy a little bit more often. But the memory about Northwest, and I was really upset about it, because nobody really knew who Delta was around here in this part of the world. But everybody knew Northwest. Northwest had been flying around here since the Wright brothers, and there was all of this brand equity that they had built up in the region, and all of a sudden they were gone and replaced, like I said, with outfit that didn't have so much history. And I always thought it might have been better for them if they'd kind of had regional names. So if you were from Hawaii to the East Coast, you could be Delta. And if you were from Hawaii to the further west into Asia, you could be Northwest, where everybody knew your name, and the friendly red flight attendant, and not the customer service uniforms. You spot those things a mile away. Yeah. Wow, great memories. So 7:25, we got to do the extra point here with Jerry Roberts. Now's a good place for it.
I can tell you right up front, this commentary isn't going to sit well with some people. Maybe not with you. I'm Jerry Roberts. Let's see where the chips fall next on the Extra Point. In over 20 years of training, I've worked with hundreds of companies, government offices, and the military. I've trained some 15,000 people. Included have been many managers and supervisors, business owners, and CEOs. We've shared ideas and viewpoints on the workplace. I can tell you without reservation that I trust the majority of them have tried to engage workers in a personal manner. Managers didn't start out being a boss. They came from the front line themselves and can remember their struggles on the way up. Truthfully, I've never met any manager who seems to wake up in the morning with their primary goal being to torture workers as much as possible, even if the workers believe that. However, there are two factors that are a roadblock to developing healthy employee engagement. Number one is indifference. Some managers really do see nothing more than a slot to be filled, a warm body needed, and they don't focus at all on the individual involved. Well, it may be a slot to the manager, but it's that worker's life, and that makes it personal. Presumably, just like it was personal for that same manager when he or she was starting out. And if it doesn't begin with indifference, the job itself can wear people down, and it ends up that way. Effectively supervising a team of 5 or 10 people or more is not a small job. Over time, many managers get tired of the petty squabbles and attitudes among some workers and distance themselves from it. Number two, and the issue I hear most, is that I'm tired. In general, managers are just plain overworked. They wear too many hats and live in a world where they're perpetually behind. So the thought of dedicating themselves to building and maintaining rich worker relationships is not anywhere on their list of to-do items. They understand the reason for it. They agree doing so would benefit the organization, the workers, and on a personal level, they would also like to have those relationships. But when you're dog-tired, it's just not going to be a priority. Now, here's the thing. Worker engagement should not merely be a manager's priority. It absolutely must be the organization's priority. If it's not, you are going in the wrong direction. If you feel stuck on this issue, someone in my line of work can help. It's too important to ignore. That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, I'm Jerry Roberts.
That's not how you do it. I thought that people always ask me, I said, Ray, why are you so calm? I say, because I yell at the people that tick me off. That's how I manage to stay in the game, stay focused on what I'm supposed to do. I'll hug you later on. I'll say, hey, you did a good job on that thing today. The other thing the other day, that was not so good. But today, that's a good thing. Where do I need to go here at 7:28 in the morning? We'll get around to looking at traffic here in a second, but I got to take a break.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. My name is Jesse Cruz from the village of Maina, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi Tanomo. Protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Oh, it's an ugly morning here. I got traffic building all over the northern region, slowing down in places like Marine Corps Drive leading up to the front gate of Anderson Air Force Base, and it's slowing down a lot further back than you would think. Southbound traffic, Marine Corps Drive, as you get closer and closer to GRMC and that intersection between 1 and 3. In fact, you'll slow down over by the new flea market as well. But over at 1 and 3, traffic going up Route 3 is slowing down. Traffic coming into Route 3 slowing down as well. It might still be doing some police investigations of an accident through there a little bit earlier. Everywhere else where you suspect there might be traffic, Route 16, Route Marine Corps Drive in front of us here, over by Oka, and 8, 10, and 16 starting to build up. So it's 7:28. If you're not on the road yet, you know what? If you can swing going in late this morning, you might miss all of this stuff and get caught in second-string traffic. Maybe that's something that's going to work for you. Oh, no, you got to get the kids to school, don't you? Sorry, bad idea. It's 7:30. Be right back.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
All right, you asked the questions, and I'll try to get the answers. While we were yakking and doing some stuff online, Elwin says, Ray, ask what happens to all the CLTC commercial monies gathered from the commercial leases from businesses like Manhita. We're supposed to be using that money for placing utilities where power and water do not exist, so that the people that are sitting on this land trust property might be able to actually do something with it. All that money raided by GovGuam a short while ago, but why? And was it replaced when they raided those funds? Well, I've sent that question to somebody that might know where we're going to find the answer, and as soon as I get something back from them, I'll be sure to ask it. If you like, you can go to thepoint.gu, ask those questions, and or you can call 888-8255. But right now, we got to jump into headlines with Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post. Hey, it's too late. It's too early for that. We got to do the headlines first. Then I'll do the iConnect time.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 32 minutes past 7 a.m. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, the director of the Department of Revenue and Taxation says a tax amnesty remains under consideration, but it'll be at least a couple of months before a final decision is made. At the urging of some lawmakers, Director John Camacho said he again raised the issue with the governor last week. He told the Post they're still considering an amnesty, but they want to wait and see until June or later to see what the government's cash position is after income tax returns are filed this month and after the first proceeds from the business privilege tax increase are processed in May. Then they'll make a final decision. Camacho said there are two issues with an amnesty that he is concerned about. First, the government would be giving up a lot more money than it would get from an amnesty, giving up interest and penalties. He's also concerned that an amnesty would be unfair to the taxpayers who pay their taxes on time. A report from the Office of Public Accountability scrutinizing the service agreement between the Guam Regional Transit Authority and Kloppenberg Enterprises is now under review by the Federal Transit Administration. In a response to an inquiry from the Guam Daily Post, the Federal Transit Administration advised that it is reviewing the audit and will determine whether additional federal action is necessary. GRTA currently has about $4.7 million in grant funding. The audit determined the Transit Authority spent about $11 million without a proper contract with bus operations provider Kloppenberg Enterprises. The OPA also found issues with overbilling and noncompliance with procurement law. 2 people died on Guam's roadways in separate traffic accidents early this morning. The first involved a pedestrian at the intersection of Route 1 and Woostig Road. Acting Guam Fire Department spokeswoman Sharika Chargaloff reporting the 911 call came in about 1:30 this morning. The victim was taken to GMH. The second fatal accident occurred less than an hour later, about 2:15, along Route 3 near Ukadu High School. And that incident, Chargaloff reports that a blue sedan ran off the road, flipped over, ended up wrapped around a concrete pole. The driver had to be extracted from the sedan. GPD spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau reports that Guam Highway Patrol has completed their investigation of the fatal accident at Route 1 in Woostig, and all lanes of traffic there are open. However, traffic congestion continues along Route 3 near Ukadu High School. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
See, and now's a good time to remind you that iConnect time is 7:34. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Mangilao on Route 10. Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Mangilao. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Luis Muñoz on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 2 for reservations at the Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
Yeah, just a quick look at traffic again to see if anything is cleared up or if it's gotten worse. And yeah, it has gotten worse. It's talking about traffic building on Marine Corps Drive and on Route 3 from Estumbo side all the way down to the intersection. You can anticipate delays. And even if you're going from Marine Corps Drive onto Route 3, we've got some delays that are building for you as well. 8, 10, and 16, fairly clear. But once you've come down from 16 and get on to 8 and try to head south, you'll see that snag just before you get to that one good intersection over in Teedzin. And then coming down into the Agana area over by McDonald's, you might see a line of traffic headed in your direction. Shouldn't be too much of a problem for you to get through any of those intersections. Anything else that I got to tell you to worry about? Yeah, just coming out of... where's this going? Okay. Marine Corps Drive headed towards Sumai. Is busy. Maybe there's a big line of infusion. I don't know. 7:36, that's what's happening in traffic here on The Point.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
Studio time 7:36. The name here is Ray Gibson. Thrilled to have you with me on the program as we continue a conversation. We started last hour. Daryl Taggarty on, then Kenleon Guerrero, and John Limtiaco. As I always try to see if I can examine all the different angles on an issue to see what's going on. At issue, a headline from Saturday's Guam Daily Post: proposed lease for up to 100 years has been opposed, and among concerns that Daryl Taggarty has expressed. Among them that, number one, government of Guam might not be getting a whole lot of money for this, what should be a fairly significant lease. I want to say that originally it was going to be $2,500 an acre times the number of acres that they're working on. That goes back to the 1991 figures, but it is also possible that since then, with abatements, et cetera, and their qualifying certificate programs, et cetera, that number might actually come down to zero. And then on top of that, they will have opportunities to sublease portions of their areas. And Daryl's also got issues with the idea that they should be able to they can make some changes to the zoning there without actually having to go back to the Land Trust Commission. If I paraphrased you correctly, Daryl, then I'm happy. If not, I'll come to you in a second. But I did want to give John Limtiaco from Manhita Farms an opportunity to address some of those concerns. Last hour, he talked about whether or not the lease was alive, and if it was not alive, then Gita should not have advertised and promoted it as they did. Is that right?
Ray, are you talking to me?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. Sometimes it might sound like I'm just talking out in the cold. But if the lease was not alive, then Gita would not have the authority to advertise and promote it as they did.
That was before our time. I think that was back in the 90s, and I don't know who was in the administration at the time and who was the director. But, this is all before us. I don't, if the government made any mistakes 20, 30 years ago, that shouldn't be put on us. And I want to clarify the first item, the sale of the property. Okay, Mr. Leon Guerrero made a comment about backroom deals, and I believe Mr. Taggarty made a similar comment. It's funny how they research only what they want to present. If they did the research, and this is public information, you can get on the MLS. This property was listed back from May 2012 through May 2014 at a price of $350,000, and the price dropped all the way down to $149,888, the asking price. Mm-hmm. And after 2 years, the listing expired. And then it came back on the market again in September of 2014 for $315,000. We presented an offer, and I don't know if anybody else presented offers, but I don't think so. I think even on the first listing, everybody wanted it for free. That's why Gita dropped the price down to $149,000. But I believe we were the only ones who responded, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
And for Mr. Taggarty and Mr. Leon Guerrero to not do the research on the other side and to try and present this deal as a backroom deal, it's not fair for them to put out that information to the public.
That's why we try to get everybody. That's John. That's why we try to get everybody on the same page here, so that one guy says something and the other guy can respond to it. So in that case, it was advertised and promoted as this deal. And in terms of the deal, did that come with the lease? I mean, is that essentially what they were marketing at the time? Was the lease specifically for the farm?
The lease is specifically for the farm, and the extension we're asking, we're not asking for them to do a lot of material changes. I mean, the law that created the ability for the Department of Agriculture to lease government land was to promote agriculture, and agriculture still needs promoting today.
No, I don't disagree. It's a whole other conversation, so I wanted to continue forward. So what exactly, I mean, you paid the $300,000. That was the seed money into the investment. Are you currently paying rent on that property now?
We are not, and let me explain that.
Yes.
When they say there is no rent on the property now or going forward, it is absolutely not true. There is a rent formula that, and Mr. Leon Guerrero referred to it as $150,000 a year. Now, I want to point out a couple things. They say that we're paying too low for this property and the rent is too low. Do you realize that there are multiple agricultural lease under the Chamorro Land Trust for 50 acres that people are paying $1 a year? $1 a year. There is no difference from what we're doing than what every other farmer is. And these farmers are...
But wait, hold on, John. Weren't there improvements on your property, though?
There was improvements, and we paid for it.
Well, but that's the point, is that somewhere along the way, I mean, it might have been just dirt, but somewhere along the way somebody made the improvements on it, and now it is a farm built to suit. And in that case, it seems to me that Gita might be able to charge whatever they want to for that. And there was actually a computation in the exhibit. I can't make out the numbers for the annualized figures and what they would pay over the years. Do you have a cleaner copy of that?
Yes, I mean that's public information, and I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it was $2,907 per acre, and there's 50 acres per year.
Okay.
Compare that to $1 a year for 50 acres.
Yeah, but again, you got a farm now. You had the buildings, you had the utilities, everything was put in place, correct?
Okay, that's not. I mean, we had a shell. You know, vandals came in there and they stripped everything. I mean, there wasn't even paint left on the building. They took out all the wires. In fact, Mr. Leon Guerrero's own brother was the contractor who restored all the electrical systems for Manita Farms.
We have to say Kindo Electric if we're going to do that. He's not an advertiser, but I always take care of the guy because he's my electrical contractor as well. But again, the point is, I mean, you knew what it was when you bought it, right? So it's not like you can say these guys are getting a better deal because it's only $1 a year for 50 acres. You've got 50 acres at $2,900, and plus the figure on the improvement, which I want to say is another 2.4%, based on what I'm looking at, numbers that go back to 2015 when John Rios was there.
Yeah, Ray, we're not denying that we knew what we bought. We're not denying it, but what we're trying to do is
I'm not suggesting you are. I'm just saying that it's kind of disingenuous to say that there are other people that are sitting on much cheaper lots. I don't know what the nature of the improvements are, but with you knew what you were buying and you knew what it was improved.
That's correct.
Okay.
We knew what we were buying. We paid for the improvements. In fact, we feel we overpaid for the improvements. But that's fine. We're business guys. We know what we're getting into, and we understand that. But for anybody to say that we're paying too little when you compare us, everybody seems to think because we own businesses outside of the farming, then we should be treated differently. You strip away all of our businesses, we're still farmers just like the next guy. And everybody else who has 40 or 50 acres, they're commercial farmers. Just because they have a Chamorro Land Trust lease, why aren't they under the commercial system, right? All of our investors are Chamorros. We're all entitled to the Chamorro Land Trust properties. There is no income requirement to be to apply for Chamorro Land Trust.
And I think that's a fair point. That is a fair point. But moving forward and going back to the original question, so what would you be paying for rent, and how is that being offset?
Okay, we would be paying for rent if we did nothing with the farm, right? If we just sat on it and planted, then we would be paying $29.59 per acre per year. But there is an offset clause, which was part of the original law to promote agriculture, was to entice the investors to put infrastructure in, and we are doing that. And the rent is offset by the dollar amount of infrastructure developed on the property. And we have sunk over $1.2 million into the property.
So the 147 divided by $1.2 million would give you a certain number of years that you could go without having to pay anything additional on the rent, or by virtue of the $1.2 million, you're rent free for the term of the loan.
That's basically it. If you go into the original lease, again, this is not something we negotiated. We just bought something. And the lease terms and the conditions that the government agreed to promote agriculture
that was a good deal
of $25,000 an acre.
I'm with you. That was a good deal. I wouldn't have walked away from that either if I'd had the money to buy the lease.
But the thing is that everybody had an opportunity, and farming is a very risky business. Ray, could you tell me one farmer on Guam who's been successful? Even the late Jerry Calvo, with all the money he had challenges with his mango farm.
Yeah. Well, we hear from the guys all the time, and the last time there was even a little fart of a storm, I want to say it was guys over at the legislature bent over backwards trying to find money we didn't have to support the guys that lost their bananas and papayas and dragon fruit crops. So I get the idea that there's a lot of risk involved in all of this, and if that's the way that the lease was written, et cetera, then I don't see where we've got any serious problems moving forward. I just think it was a good deal.
Point out one millionaire farmer on Guam. Can you name one?
No, I'm not trying to. Not trying to get into a debate here. I'm just trying to understand the nature of the deal so that I can understand what the conversation is that's going on between yourselves, the legislature, and the opposition to the bill.
Yeah, and the thing is that I think that there's a lot of conspiracy theories going around, and people try and sell those theories without giving the full story. And we're transparent. We've told all the senators they're more than welcome to come up. We invite you up to the farm to see what we've done. And I'd like you to show me any farmer who has put as much investment into a piece of government land than we have.
We might do that. Shoot some video, play it on the morning show here. I think when we start talking about conspiracy theories, there's also the idea that your partner Mike is general manager of Payless and brother-in-law with Governor Calvo. I don't put a whole lot of stake into those kinds of conversations, but it's being pointed out, and so that might be the basis of these conspiracy theories that you've got. Do you have any idea when the legislature might take a vote on this measure?
No, I do not. But my cousin, Mr. Benito, is, I mean, we're our grandmothers, our sisters. He's his own man. I mean, his interest in the farm has nothing to do with any of the Calvo's investments.
No,
it's something he wanted to do.
I hear you, cuz. We're related too. If you're related to him, then I'm related to you. One other thing before I'm done. I think one of the other concerns that was brought up by Daryl is that, again, maybe it's something that's in the lease, because I don't see it in the text of the new law that is attached, but I guess there's concerns that you might be able to throw some variances in there, and he was talking about maybe going in and putting some kind of H2 labor camp or something like that on the property, or what is it being referred to in the Post, a red light district?
I found that to be quite hilarious, because if Mr. Taggarty read the lease, this thing is restricted for agricultural use only. So where he comes up with red light districts, H2 barracks, luxury homes, you name it, he pulled everything out of the air and threw it in there to try and sensationalize his testimony. But the lease is reserved for agricultural use only.
Yeah, I'd give you the opportunity if you want to debate with him face to face. He's on the other line.
I don't think there's anything to debate. It's public information. Anybody from the public can pick up a copy of the lease. If they want to come by our office, I'll give it to them. It states specifically, and the law that created the ability for the Department of Agriculture to lease the lands, it's all in the law. Now, Daryl could argue that laws can be changed, but I don't have control of that. It's not our intention to change laws to go back and ask for the government to allow us to put luxury homes in a red light district. That's not our intent. We're farming it. And if we were to do that, why would we be putting down so much money in irrigation systems and all of that other stuff if we wanted to do a red light district or do luxury homes?
Yeah, you need a bigger pipe if you wanted to do something along those lines, it seems to me. 7:51. John, I appreciate your time and calling in on the story. We'll see where else it takes us.
Did you want to talk about the subletting?
I presume that you are going to be subletting for agricultural purposes.
That's right. And, Ray, farmers, if you ask any farmer, how much are you willing to pay for rent in order to be able to be profitable, most of them will tell you for a fact that in order to farm, they need to get the land virtually free. That's why there are no farmers renting commercial private land. There are farmers who get to use private lands for free to farm because the owners aren't using it. And every other farmer who's a commercial farmer of any sort has a CLTC property. There's no farmers on this island paying any commercial real estate rates to farm.
Now, you're talking about subletting fields out to farmers. I was thinking more in terms of other perhaps commercial endeavors. We talked about the idea of being able to take some of the feces from the chickens, scat, and then turning that into some kind of manure and fertilizer down the road. Also, maybe taking some of that and capturing the methane as part of the product, part of the process here. And I figured that would be something that you would lease out to another concern to do. Wasn't that part of the plan as well?
No, that's not allowed under USDA. All of these things that you're talking about, composting, we do that there now, and we do the composting. The northern area only has about 1 to 2 inches of soil on the ground, and then you have a coral head. We are composting to improve soil health within the farm. So we're taking waste products like pallets we get from the military and commercial businesses. We're shredding them. We're using them to conserve water on the farm. And we have had farmers come to us and ask us, what would it cost or what could they rent us a prepared plot, a 1 acre plot, fully dressed with mulch, topsoil put on it, compost in the soil, ready to plant. Because we have machinery that we can do it with automation versus them by pick and shovel basically, and we could prepare it for them much cheaper. We can't make money on the real estate, but we can recover our costs to improve the planted plot for a much lower value than the farmer would do if he had to do it on his own manually. So we're just trying to help other farmers and have like a sharecropping. Now, if the senators don't want to provide that opportunity to small farmers who can't afford it, that's okay too. It was just the only reason why we have subletting there is to help small farmers. But if they don't want to help the small farmer, they don't have to put it in there. They can restrict it that the subletting is just for small farmers.
Right.
We have no issues because that was the original intent.
Another question from a listener before I let you go. Can you ask who paid for the recent pump station refurbishing, which is adjacent to the Manhita Farms? Was that taxpayers, or did you guys cover that?
I'm not sure of what pump station has been refurbished. The one that I saw right outside our front gate, it doesn't look like it's been refurbished. We deal with low water pressure all the time.
Elwin, you're going to have to take a picture for me, buddy, and send that along, and I'll send it to John. 7:56. John, I appreciate your time. As I said, if anything else comes up, we'll find you.
All right. Thanks, Ray.
All right, amigo. It's Ray Gibson Show until it's not going to be. Interesting other sides to the conversation, although I thought it would be even more interesting if I could have gotten him on with Daryl at the same time, but he passed on the opportunity. Daryl, I'm sorry.
I'm on. Okay.
Yes, you are.
You were just apologizing that you're not going to be able to get to me. I have to say I am totally in agreement with what John and Mike and Mike are trying to do. I think it's great, and I think that they were on the right track when they first proposed it, and I think that it was because they're good businessmen. It was profitable to them, as it was originally proposed and approved by GITA, Agriculture, and Tomorrow Trust.
In 1991.
The legislature. It's no. When Manhita Farms, the current owners of Manhita Farms with the current lease and the current terms. That hangs together very nicely. Beautiful. That's what they proposed, and that was what was approved. For the legislature to basically carve out a whole new program just for this one farm that's not available to any other farmers. John was just
But are there any other leases that are similar to this?
They could go find another piece. As long as they're going to improve land, they could go find another piece of Tomorrow Land Trust land, pay for the survey to be done.
Right, but my point, I'll make the same point with you as I made with him, is somebody already did that when they were starting to build this thing up in 91 and just never got around to doing it. So there is already land that's already got improvements on it. It has been sitting fallow for all of these years, and so somebody comes in and says, okay, we'll go ahead and take it over. We'll go ahead and spill some new money into the infrastructure and the farm. So I don't see anything. I don't see anything in the language of the law that would allow for your concerns about a red light district or a mall or any of that stuff. I don't see where that's in the law. It might be in the lease somewhere, but I don't see it.
Not until you pass a law that's specific to a piece of property does that property have the attributes that are different from all other properties. It's no longer attached to the original programs. It is a government policy that Manhita Farms will be able to do whatever it needs to do to succeed, to be profitable, because the government of Guam is a partner in its development to ensure it's going to be that's going to be profitable. That land's going to be used for its highest and best use.
Which is in the language here, and I don't mean to be disagreeable in the last 30 seconds of the hour, but in the subleasing authorized, it states that the lot will be used for agricultural-related businesses who will similarly engage in agricultural activities. So I'm not seeing where the rest of that is. I got a breakaway. I got the news coming up, Daryl, but we'll talk again, I'm sure.
We'll continue. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll see you pretty soon. It's just in front of 8 o'clock in the morning on KUSG Hagåtña. We are The Point. And coming up in the next hour, this is going to be fun. I got Blake Watson coming in. We're going to talk sports, obviously, but I got a special sports star coming in as well, right? Baby Joe is back in town. We'll hear from him next.
Reaction from the White House. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News. The president weighing in on an alleged chemical weapons attack in Syria late yesterday that killed at least 40 people.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says President Trump was briefed about this attack by his chief of staff, John Kelly, and they say he continues to receive updates as more information becomes available. President Trump ordered a military airstrike in Syria in response to a chemical weapons attack almost exactly 1 year ago. That strike targeted an airbase belonging to the Syrian government. The president's Homeland Security advisor is questioning the timing of the latest attack and also says, as far as this latest attack goes, all options are on the table.
Fox's Ellison Barber, the White House, the UN Security Council calling for a meeting tomorrow on the Saturday attack. Fox News confirming that the U.S. has been told by North Korea's government that its leader Kim Jong-un is prepared now to talk about ending his ongoing nuclear program. Observers saying that's a big step toward clearing the way for a possible summit meeting between Kim and President Trump. No definite word, though, on how that assurance was delivered. Other reports, though, are saying the two countries might be engaged in some back-channel communications. Meantime, the White House urging calm as fears of a trade war with China escalate.
It's a long process. There's several months here. We put out papers. We take public comments. We then review the public comments, and then decisions will be made. So far, no tariffs and no action has been enacted.
White House Chief Economic Advisor Larry Kudlow appearing on Fox News Sunday. Millions of Orthodox Christians observing Easter today, a week later than the religious holiday was celebrated this year by Western churches. Millions observing in Russia as well, including President Vladimir Putin. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Luis Muñoz on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
Ready to buy real estate on Guam? Congratulations! But what now? There's so many questions, so many things to do. Where do you start? The best place to start is to call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty, Guam's biggest name in real estate. They aren't the best because they're the biggest. They're the biggest because they're the best. Trust the name. Find out why. Call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty today. 888-2121. Trust the best.
Gasoline prices on the rise again. The average price for a gallon of self-serve regular up 8 cents over the past 2 weeks, now to $2.74.
It is mostly crude oil prices, although there have been a couple of other factors joining in. Since crude oil prices actually slipped in the past few days, and since they are the biggest influence on the retail gasoline price, this may be it for the price rise, at least for this season.
Analyst Troby Lundberg with the Lundberg Survey. The most expensive gas in the lower 48, San Francisco, $3.63 for regular. The lowest, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at $2.37 a gallon. People across Canada in mourning this weekend after a Friday crash between a tractor trailer and a team bus for the Humboldt Broncos junior hockey team left 15 people dead, over a dozen injured, many of them players. The community gathering at a church this morning in the small Saskatchewan town.
It's hard to put into words how it's affected this community.
Church member Donovan Black. A new #1 at the movie box office.
A Quiet Place makes a lot of noise in its debut.
Terry fighting a massive invasion. Total devastation.
The horror flick starring and directed by John Krasinski grossing an estimated $50 million. Ready Player One slips to #2.
The Oasis was the brainchild of James Halliday.
Hello. If you're watching this, I'm dead.
Steven Spielberg's virtual reality adventure film hauling in $25.1 million. A teen sex comedy takes 3rd place.
Did your dad try to stop you when you wanted to lose your virginity?
He was too busy high-fiving me.
Blockers opening with $21.4 million, and a superhero hits another super milestone.
The Black Panther lives.
Black Panther passing Titanic to become the 3rd highest grossing film of all time domestically. Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
Late play, final round, Masters in Augusta. Patrick Reed with a 1-stroke lead over Jordan Spieth. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News Radio.
On
On April 14th, join Bank of Guam for the first ever Hagåtña City E-Fit Run and Block Party to benefit the Guam Cancer Care and the American Cancer Society Guam. This event begins with a sunset run through our capital, starting at 5 p.m. at the Chamorro Village, and the excitement continues at our block party with food trucks, beer garden, live entertainment, and the greatest beast competition, and a fun-filled kids zone. The Hagåtña City E-Fit Run and Block Party, Saturday, April 14th, brought to you by Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
Stop by any Circle K today and overload your For Real. It's simple. Pick out your favorite For Real shake, blend it, and then mix and match any two toppings for only $1. Overload your For Real with a variety of sweet treats like Oreo cookies, gummy bears, classic M&Ms or peanut M&Ms, and Reese's peanut butter cups. Simply add them to your For Real shake for an overload experience and enjoy. For Real Overload, only available at participating Circle Ks. Circle K. Take it easy.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
Yes, money is something we should talk about and plan for and use to make life better. It's how we make our giant leap from where we are to where we want to be. So let's talk together and work together to check off shiny new kitchens, fully nested dorm rooms, and bucket lists with more countries than our passports can hold. Let's check them all off together. First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes. Member FDIC.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 8 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. 2 people died on Guam's roadways in separate traffic accidents early this morning. The first involved a pedestrian at the intersection of Route 1 and Woostic Road. Acting Guam Fire Department spokeswoman Sharika Chargaloff reporting the 911 call came in at about 1:30 a.m. The victim was taken to GMH. The second fatal accident happened less than an hour later, about 2:15 this morning, along Route 3 near Ukadu High School. In that incident, Chargaloff reports that a blue sedan ran off the road, flipped over, and ended up wrapped around a concrete pole. The driver had to be extracted from the vehicle. GPD spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau says the Guam Highway Patrol has now completed their investigation of the fatal accident at Route 1 in Woostic. All lanes of traffic now open there. However, traffic congestion was still reported a few minutes ago along Route 3 near Ukadu High. A bill passed by the legislature last September that lapsed into law in October has already raised hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue without raising taxes on anyone or anything. Senator Michael San Nicolas's cigarette tax stamp Bill 77 is now Public Law 34-55. It doesn't raise the tax on cigarettes. It merely requires that a stamp be placed on a pack of cigarettes, proving that the already existing tax has been paid. 47 states have similar tax stamp laws. Since the passage of the bill, even before it lapsed into law, revenues have risen $500,000 a month, said San Nicolas, and it's been pretty consistent since. The law doesn't even take effect until October 1st. The rules and regulations for enforcement still in development by the Department of Revenue and Taxation. However, San Nicolas believes the sudden increase in revenue before the tax takes effect tells him there's been an enforcement problem. The sudden increase indicates that some companies, he believes, have been underpaying. We'll have more news after this.
Did you know you can save a little more when you save the water from washing off your produce? Place a strainer or colander over a large pot to catch the water when washing your fruits and veggies. Then recycle that water on your garden or for flushing the toilet.
Catch more clean and green living tips every day and get inspired to make a cleaner, greener effort in your community. Happy Earth Month from the stations of Choice Broadcasting.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Manilao on Route 10, Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Manilao. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
11 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. The Guam Power Authority has received 18 responses in the initial phase of its two-step bidding process for Guam's future power plant. GPA General Manager John Benavente telling the Post that the responses they received in the first phase will establish a qualified bidders list. Qualified bidders will then be invited to submit proposals. GPA expects to award the build, operate, transfer contract at the end of this year. The successful bidder will be responsible for financing and constructing a 120 to 180 megawatt power plant set for completion in 2021. The power plant anticipated to cost about $300 million to build and another $100 million to construct transmission lines. The plant is intended to augment Guam Power Authority's capacity as well as meet U.S. Environmental Protection Agency regulations. GPA faces more than $150 million in potential fines from U.S. EPA if it continues to fail to meet new emission standards. Island mayors have assumed oversight and responsibility over 3 federally funded programs for senior citizens from the Department of Public Health and Social Services. The 3 programs, adult daycare, case management services, and in-home services, were previously contracted out to Catholic Social Services. Agana Heights Mayor Paul McDonald says the responsibility was given to the mayors because of their experience with managing the senior citizens program. He said 90 employees who were under the 3 programs have started transitioning as GovGuam employees. The condition of a man pulled from the waters on Saturday night in Ipan, Talafofo, unknown. Guam Fire Department and rescue crews were called to the beach Saturday night after a man was reported missing. Rescue personnel were able to find the man, bring him to shore. He was transported to Naval Hospital, where his condition has not yet been reported. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with a look at weather.
I got it. Partly cloudy skies today with isolated light showers. Winds east up to about 15, maybe 20 miles an hour. At night, it'll decrease 10 to 15 or so. Daytime highs 89 degrees and overnight lows near 76 degrees. Sunset tonight, 6:33. Sunrise tomorrow morning, about 6:12 a.m. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment, LLC on Epal Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946. Don't forget to click on to morricoequipment.com.
It's time for a Cold Stone break. Try the new strawberry shortcake and fresh lemon ice. Wait, was it lice? Yes, lemon ice pie? Really? Mix them with your favorite fruits, nuts, candies, or even the golden Oreo cookies. Cold Stone Creamery is at the Guam Premier Outlets and Micronesia Mall.
Rain. It's nature's way of cleansing the earth. Yet by the time that rainwater makes its way to your home, it may not be exactly the same as nature created it. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve the quality of the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home, so you can be sure your water is clear, clean, and fresh, just as nature intended it to be. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. Smarter water, better water.
Security
Call
title.
American Water Tech, 649-2301, or email info@americanwatertech.com.
Ask for Rizik. Security title providing solutions for complex real estate transactions.
Hey, it's your stomach again. Subway has all new signature wraps, and around the water cooler, the other stomachs can't stop talking about them. Chipotle Southwest steak and cheese, turkey, bacon, and guac, rotisserie-style chicken Caesar signature wraps. Listen, if I'm honest, as a talking stomach, I don't have a lot of life experience. But I do know one thing. These signature wraps are jam-packed with meat. So what are you waiting for? I'm growling over here. Subway. Make it what you want.
Morning talk that matters. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
8:14, it's the Ray Gibson Show until it's not going to be anymore. And before we talk about world champion Baby Joe Tamanglu, I'm going to pat myself on the back. I came in 159th out of 784 half marathon runners. That's boys and girls at the same time. And there must have been a bunch of old people in there in that category too, because I was I want to say in my division, I think I was, or maybe it was just gender. I gotta check. I gotta look at the paperwork.
There were lots of tourists.
Yeah, there certainly
Lots
were.
of tourists.
From all kinds of different places. You know, normally we think about the marathons that we do here, and it's very attractive, obviously, to the Japanese and the locals. But I heard lots of Chinese. I heard lots of Taiwanese. I heard lots of Hong Kongese that was being spoken on the course, and many of them talking about how great it was. A lot of support on the course. So big shouts to the guys that put together the United Guam International Marathon, Ben and Steve and Sammy, and then to everybody that participated in this as well. And I got a couple of friends that scored big time on this. Ryan Matienzo overall.
Shout out to Ryan.
Right?
He's always ahead of the pack.
Guy was just absolutely hustling. And Minami Ijima. Who just kicked butt in Saipan. She won the Taga Man thing, and just continually running. She's absolutely fantastic. And we were looking for not shade after the races yesterday, but we were looking for someplace because it was raining so darn much. Did you bring that with you, Baby Joe?
What did I bring? The rain?
The rain, dude.
No, I bring the thunder.
You brought the thunder on Friday night. That's for sure. That is for sure. So with me in the studio, Baby Joe, welcome home.
Half a day, everybody.
Hey, man, it's great. We're just watching what was going on with you and everything, and the Bellator competitions. That was outrageous. Tell everybody. First of all, golly, how do I want to start? Thank your sponsors, because I know you have so many.
Oh,
we'll start with that.
Let's just get this out of the way because hey,
knock that out.
I do owe them a big thank you, and without them, some of my career cannot be possible or fulfilled. It is a big thing in mixed martial arts when you're trying to make MMA a full-time job. We do need that backing. We do need that support for financial cost of living, everything. I just recently moved out to San Diego about a couple years back. Not recently, but it's about 7 years ago. And
it's expensive in San Diego, dude.
Oh yeah, it's like Guam times 15. But I try to make it work. I really like it. The reason why I went over there, it just reminds me of the island. If I was to leave Guam, and it really hurt when I did leave, I said, I'm going to go somewhere where it's almost like Guam.
So did you find the rest of the Tamanglus there?
Oh, yeah, I found all my 15 cousins over there. Yeah, the cousins I did not know. It's almost like it's cool because they have a big Guam community over there. They do a lot of fiestas, gatherings, and you meet a lot of Chamorros that grow up out there. And when they know about Guam, and they all read about me. So when I go out there, they meet me, and it's like, wow, you know what I mean? They give me that praise and the proudness of what they see in me.
Well, especially for the second and third generation Chamorros, the ones that Dad moved there in the '60s during the war, and they just never moved. There's always been the Chamorro contingent, and maybe they've come to Guam once or twice in their lives. But for the rest of them, Guam is a mythical place, and it's strong, buff men and strong and handsome women that we've got around here, and then you get somebody like Baby Joe walking around that's all six-pack, and they're going, see, I told you. It's like in the T-shirts. That's what we've got going. But, who helps you pay the bills?
All right. First and foremost, there's a lot of people here that I like to thank, but I like to thank all of them at one time. But here we go. We're going to start off on top of my list. I got Sonori Lee. He's over at the Winhan Gardens. And, man, he's been amazing, man. I admire the guy. I just had a little gathering with them over their hotel, and they do these nonprofits organizations, and then their peoples get together to sort out money to build up, to fund these kind of programs, such as helping the Gain Animal Shelter, the Special Olympics. And, it amazes me to see what kind of things that people in Guam are going to do to help our people prosper. And, you know what I mean? Like, we may not all be professional athletes, but some way, somehow, they do that out of the kindness of their hearts to give it back.
You've got so many other sponsors. It's nice that he's first on the list.
Yeah.
It's a good job, man.
He's a great guy. You know, a little story that he met my mom when she did a rally before my fight over at 76. And, he came over in his jogging clothes, regular clothes, and he came up, met my mom, wanted to just meet her and introduce himself, but my mom's just like, just thinking it's another guy. And he explained to my mom that before he knew who I was, we were neighbors. I lived across the street from him, but he got inspired by me running all the time. When I was living here in Guam, I'll take off, get my cardio in, get ready for my fights, and he saw that. But at the time of day I was doing it, it's like around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock when that sun's beaming down.
There's only 2 guys that do that. So you and Leo Tekel are the
Okay.
only guys that run during the
Hey man, we
sunshine.
need that tan, bro. And he gave it a shot. But what he felt to do is that, I prepare myself. I'm a professional athlete. I'm in that level where I can, stand harsh conditions like that. And hydration. So when he experienced himself, a couple times it was good, but and then a couple times he did get the heat stroke, and he kind of like took a step back. And I told him, there's always 4 or 5 clocks to run when the sun's about going down.
Exactly.
He goes, really?
Go and make sure you get the water on you. I can only assume, though, that once your mom realized that there was a potential sponsor, she clung and did not let go. Because when she ran into my brother, my sister, and I, we were at a fundraiser for Uncle Carl a few weeks ago, and as soon as she realized that there might be a few dollars in our pockets, all of a sudden it was, I've got these stickers here. I got the Baby Joe stickers.
My mom is
you
awesome.
look like you need 2. You look like you need 2. You look like you need 2. And so we bought a whole bunch and gave them away here at the radio station.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
your mom
you,
is
Ray.
your mom
Appreciate
is
that
awesome.
support.
Who else you got on the list?
Oh, we got Henry over at Signrite in Harmon, and also I got Myrna Hair and Beauty Shop, Misa's Own Mexican Restaurant.
Yep.
Those guys are Vatos Locos, man.
Right on.
Senator Mary Torres, Senator Dennis Rodriguez, also Governor Carl Gutierrez and Berdalio, the team Gutierrez GB, and also SPPC, Circle K, Route 1, and also my Uncle Peter Terlai running for senator. And, I mentioned a lot of politics here. I mean, politicians here. Did I say politics? Is that offending?
No, it doesn't bother anybody.
Yeah, bro, that guy's a politic. No, he's a politician. Just say shun.
Shun, right. So, no, I'm cool with that, and I'm cool with you mentioning 76 Circle K. There's a picture of you I found on Facebook, which they took, and Janelle, and there's Marvick, and there's Mark, and then, of course, there's you. So, I mean, obviously, a strong connection that you've got with those guys. And the reason why I bring it up is because there are a lot of people that have got some excellent athletic skills, athletic abilities that would like to be able to compete on a full-time basis. But now I got jobs. I gotta pay the car. I gotta pay the insurance. So it's nice when you've got sponsors. Earlier I mentioned Minami Ijima, and she has got sponsors and people that help her pay her bills so that she can be a professional triathlete all the time. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Tell me about Bellator.
Bellator.
Dude, that sounds like a monster name, dude.
It is. It's a really great organization, well established, and Bellator. We're making our way up. We're getting bigger with the shows per year. We're only competitors to UFC as far as UFC buying every big organization out.
Yeah.
And Bellator is holding their own, standing strong, and man, the competition is amazing there. They signed a lot of great people, a lot of superstars, Fedor Emelianenko, big names, and our division as well. I fight in the 135 bantamweight division, pretty stacked division. And man, I'm having a time of my life right now. I had a couple setbacks, a couple losses, but that's what just made me a more of a competitor athlete. I learned from it, got better from it, and just had to, push and move on.
But you had 2 big fights and 2 big titles, right?
Oh, I headlined about three events for Bellator already.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 main events and 1 co-main event.
Gotcha.
So, Yeah,
Gotcha.
my name is Big in there. yeah.
Baby
I
Joe,
like the sound guy over there.
Bellator, yeah, I got a good sound guy. He's out with the sound effects all the time here. So, how many different divisions are there? You said you compete in the 135?
Yeah, there's 135, 145, 55, like almost every 10 pounds, pretty much. And then
does it make that much of a difference?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Really?
Like if you have to like that's why like Connor, it fluctuates so much, and
Yeah.
sometimes he does poorly and sometimes he does better. Because as Baby Joe will know, if you walk around heavy and you have to cut a lot of weight, then it's going to affect you in the ring. You know, and vice versa. If you walk around light and you got to bulk up, you know, it's just you're gonna have to get used to the movement. You know what I mean? I mean, just getting in tune with your body all over again.
But now you don't compete against anybody based on their age class, though, right?
Oh,
you're
no,
not-
so if,
everybody, it's just weight. So
the
you can
world
take on an
champion
old
senior
guy.
citizen is 83 years old. That I'm sorry, I have to omit him before the fight, and then we got to do what we got to do.
Crazy. Tell me about a little bit about the training. You know, every once in a while, I'll think to myself, well, you know, I'm running half marathons. I'm in shape. I go hang out with Luis Blanco, right? And you know, maybe I'm gonna get real buff and strong. Where do you start to train to get into mixed martial arts? Because there's so many different disciplines in there.
There it is. It's it's a real tough sport, you know, and it's like almost like, you know, only the few survive, and the selected few that, you know, I'm proud to say that I'm part of them, you know, because I do put in that work. You know, I've been an athlete all my life, and growing up being a competitor in different various sports, and when I got that feel for MMA, you know, I was like, my goodness, you know, I wasn't good at it when I first started. I started at 19, and you know, I won my first fight.
Isn't
I
that
was
funny
like,
to hear him say, I wasn't any good at it when I first started?
Yeah. Well, I mean, who is?
But you just got to practice.
You know, like anything. I mean, you put your head into the game and you take advantage. Who is your? Not, I want to say inspiration, because it's only in an interview that's almost cheap. But who's the guy that recognized that you had something and said, you know what, I can polish this. I can bring this guy to a whole nother level. Who's that for you?
I guess there's a couple names there.
Do them.
There's Ryan Bigler, and then
I've been watching those Instagram story, by the way. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I do a couple numbers there, you know. Also, my mentor is at the time was Big John Calvo. He was a big part of, you know, I admired him growing up. I looked up to him, and you know what he's done for his sport.
Because he's big, we all look up to John. He's physically a big boy.
Dan Severin.
Well, my favorite thing is traveling around. We went traveling. We were in Japan or something, and you know, I'm walking by and I see these girls and they're giggling and they're, you know, and I'm going, dude, I'm a stud. Check this out. And then come to find out what they were giggling about was they recognized him, they knew who he was, and they could tell by looking at his ears that he'd been in the rings a couple of times, and that's what was that was the stud thing going on there. Cool. Yeah, I suppose there's another reason to stay true to your training. What's next for you? What are you going to do now?
Well, I'm getting ready for whatever Bellator got. You know, my application of becoming the Guam's next world champion or the world champion of Bellator MMA. I just submitted my application on my fight.
It's not automatic. I seen pictures of you with the Guam flag and the Carl Gutierrez banner on your. I thought it was. They just bring it back all the time.
That's what I made myself. I shot myself into that position. I gave. That's why I said that's my application. I sent in off of making a highlight of a former world champion, two-time division. Much respect to my opponent, Joe Warren. You know, very tough, very well respected. Has a lot of success in our career, and you know, I took up the challenge and I said, hey man, you know, we got to do this.
Physically, he didn't look on your level. Like you looked a little bit. You looked like you had hit the weights a little bit more prior to the fight.
I mean, I always look like that. Besides today.
But I mean,
no.
you know what I'm saying? You know, when y'all at the weigh-ins, when y'all were sitting next to each other, you know, it just seemed like.
Well, he has a different body structure. I mean, you know, some of us. I just got to put it out, man. It's not a bodybuilding competition. You know, I'm just very gifted that all that hard work I put in, you know, it turns out to becoming fine definition of.
Of course, you're back in the land of sticky rice and soy sauce.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that. Besides today, I love it.
No, but you still got the power, right? I mean, you can still feel, you know. I mean, because I know he's a wrestling legend.
Yes, and that's what I was going to get to right after. You know, when looks comes to play, very deceiving, man. Like, the guy is a Greco world champion.
Yeah.
When he grabbed me and he threw me the first time, I was like, oh, shucks. Oh, shucks. Here we go, man. So, had to dig in. Yep. It's going to be a long 15 minutes, bro. It was great, man.
Message for the kids, because there's so many people look up to you, and and fighters like you, right? There's a lot of guys that go, you know what, I'm just a kid from the village. I want to be able to do what Baby Joe does. What's the message for him?
Man, they just say man, then we're talking to kids. Man, bro, man and woman. When you guys grow up, because you're going to be man and women's. Live your dream, Don't give up. If you love it, do it with passion. Follow through. Be happy with what you're doing. If you're not, do something else that's going to make you happy. And one day you're going to find your calling. Never give up, everybody.
Right, and work as hard as you possibly can. And the old fighter rule is somewhere somebody is out training you. He is out eating you. He is all he can think of is how he's going to take you down. So you got to be mentally prepared all the time to meet that guy in the ring.
The rules of engagement.
Amen to that.
Did you like Thackerville?
Excuse me?
Did you like Thackerville, by the way?
Oh, it's
just
like
the casino.
There.
That's about it.
You go out there and it's just Thackerville. That's it.
I saw a rendition. I've been to Thackerville because it's right on the border, Ray, of Texas and Oklahoma. And you go up there if you want, like the WinStar Casino is right there. So if you want to, gamble in Texas, you got to go to either Shreveport or right up there to Oklahoma. And it's like a 2-hour drive from where I'm from. And I went and saw a rendition of Leonard Skinner at the same casino that you fought at. Yeah.
They have a lot of big names over there.
Yeah. We had to drive up 2 hours up there just to see him from Dallas that year. But yeah, that's the only time I've ever been into that casino.
So we used the same restroom then.
Did you? Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Okay, so we've hit the Udu point in the conversation. So I'm gonna appreciate you coming. Just one or two more minutes, because I got to give Blake an opportunity to talk about some big sports over the weekend.
Okay.
Go. Oh, okay, go. Royals, IIAAG by request, girls, high school soccer, St. Paul Christian Warriors. They get shut out by the defending champs, Indy Royals, led by Bree LG. 2-0 was the score there, Ray. And over the weekend, the Simon Sanchez Sharks, they beat up the young Gecko team, helmed by Helena Garcia. So records are tied at 2-1, and they power past the GW squad. What is the final there? This is pinwheel of death. I don't have it, but I do know the Sanchez Sharks beat the Geckos. So there you go. I don't have the final score on that.
So we'll eventually catch up with that. Maybe tomorrow when we have another big name sitting in the other chair.
Okay,
we'll see what happens. Joe, thanks for coming in here, and Blake Watson with the sports. Coming up next, we got more headlines. It's actually our last look at headlines with the amazing Kevin Kerrigan. That's next.
Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Start your lunch with your choice of a Bud Light, iced tea, or Coca-Cola. Plus, free bottomless chips with salsa. Then choose a variety of fresh entree options like our savory beef enchiladas, quesadilla explosion salad, or our Cajun chicken pasta. Experience fresh flavors in every bite with Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. At Chili's, fresh is happening now.
Well, I was looking at the traffic, and it doesn't look like it's lightened up hardly at all. I'll give you another look at traffic here in just a couple of minutes, but right now it is time for our last look at headlines. From the Guam Daily Post, here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day. Good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 33 minutes past 8 a.m. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, a 50-acre public property in Jigo could be in the hands of the same business for up to 100 years. A public hearing on the proposed lease took place Friday at the legislature. At issue, the lease for Manhita Farms, secured from a previous leaseholder in 2015. The measure needs legislative approval. It involves a piece of Guam Department of Agriculture property. The Guam Economic Development Authority foreclosed on the farmer that had the lease on the property, and according to Gita records, Manhita had only 24 years remaining on the lease. Manhita asking for extensions on top of the first 50 years for a total of up to 100 years, rent-free on the property. Senator Tom Atta, sponsor of the land lease legislation, said the company's financial investments into developing the land would offset rent payments to the government. However, a former legislative staffer, Daryl Taggarty, opposing the bill, calling on lawmakers to throw it out, saying it is a private bill that gives a massive financial gift to Manhita Farms. Delays in processing the selection of a new food vendor has forced the Department of Corrections to enter into emergency procurement DOC Deputy Director Kate Baltazar said that services with the current vendor, Basil Food Industrial Services, was extended to 30 days after the contract expired on March 31st. She said GSA is still in the process of selecting a new vendor for the new contract, and the 30-day emergency procurement was necessary. Island mayors have assumed oversight and responsibility over the 3 federally funded programs for senior citizens from the Department of Public Health and Social Services. The 3 programs, adult daycare, case management, and in-home services, were previously contracted out to Catholic Social Services. Agana Heights Mayor Paul McDonald said that the responsibility was given to mayors because of their experience with managing the Senior Citizens Program. He said 90 employees who were under the 3 programs have started transitioning as GovGuam employees. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
This portion of the program brought to you by my friends over at iConnect. iConnect time at 8:35. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice. For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
It's 8:36, and take another look at what's happening in traffic. You know, we had just a terrible accident on Route 3, and it looks like the traffic is still building up in that region, southbound towards the intersection, and even from the intersection up towards the Estumbo area. You might also see something happening over by Santa Monica. We've got issues on Route 10 Alpha and 8, 10, and 16. Fairly clear moving into that, but traffic in both directions on Route 8 towards the intersection is starting to build. Looks like we got a little bit of a slowdown in front of the Guam International Airport through there, and that, I think, is all of it. It's building up in some of the usual places for second-string traffic, up to and including the areas at Route 4 and through Route 10 near the schools. It's 8:37, and that's what happened on the roads. Oh, did you want to do that while we're doing the right now traffic? Yeah, I can do that. We had Baby Joe in the studio just a few minutes ago, and a delight to finally get a chance to meet up with the Colonel, as in the Colonel from KFC. Now, the Colonel has brought with me, and you can see it on the screen. I'll put this here up on the camera so that you get an idea of what this looks like. Hold on, I gotta press a bunch of buttons until I get exactly the right one. That's it. Colonel in the studio with me, and it's great to have you here, Colonel.
Howdy, folks. Thanks for having me here at your lovely studio.
Well, I'm glad you like the studio. Hey, I heard you're only on Guam for a little bit to showcase something new you brought for us.
That's right. I wanted to bring you what I'd like to call the Smoky Mountain Barbecue Chicken.
Whew! What is the Smoky Mountain Barbecue Chicken?
It is a sweet, smoky, and southern flavor glazed on our KFC Extra Crispy Chicken.
Oh, how do I get my hands on this?
That's a great question. We have a special promo for this flavor, which is a 3-piece meal. It comes with 2 regular side orders, a biscuit, and a free Frito-Lay's barbecue chips. Looking for a meal that you can have with a group of friends or family? We got the 9, the 15, and the 21-piece meal.
When does this start, and how long will I have to enjoy it?
It is actually now now on Guam. It started since April 2nd all the way until April 30th.
Where can I try this new flavor?
You can purchase this at any of our KFC restaurants. Tamuni, Anigua, Manilao, Dedido, Jigo, and the GPO and Micronesia food courts.
Speaking of the GPO and Micronesia Mall food courts, I know they're a bit smaller, but can I still get this flavor and the crispy chicken there?
Because our KFC restaurants are a bit small in the food courts, unfortunately, they are not offering the extra crispy chicken, but they have a special promo. The $5 crispy box tender meal. It comes with 2 Smoky Mountain Barbecue crispy chicken tenders and 2 regular side orders.
I just want to say thanks for coming by for a visit here on The Point. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Colonel?
Our KFC Smoky Mountain Barbecue Chicken is only here on Guam for a limited time, so come and visit us at any of our KFC restaurants today. By the way, we hired Reba McEntire to be the first female colonel at KFC.
Reba!
Smoky Mountain Barbecue, fried chicken so crispy and sweet. That crispy fried chicken. All right, stop, I can't do this. I thought if I dressed up like a country music legend, it would help KFC sell my delicious new Smoky Mountain Barbecue.
KFC, it's finger licking good.
Yeah? Tell me I got a commercial to go to in a second. Colonel, I'll see you later. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. Because I have in my hand one of these, and I'm going to take a big Ray Gibson-sized bite out of it. This is the most protein I've had in one hand in days. So I'm going to take a real quick bite, and then when we return, I might be able to actually continue a conversation on some of the important things that we've talked about. Name is Ray Gibson. The program is The Ray Gibson Show, and it's on The Point right now.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
And plan for and use to make life better. It's how we make our giant leap from where we are to where we want to be. So let's talk together and work together to check off shiny new kitchens, fully nested dorm rooms, and bucket lists with more countries than our passports can hold. Let's check them all off together. First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes. Member FDIC.
KFC? I do, right?
A lot.
I do. It's still there.
You have bathed in the Smoky Mountain Barbecue.
They put more sauce, so you can get there's like sauce on the side.
That,
so when you get it, you can put some more.
I know. When you get off of your shift today, I'm sure you're going to go back into your office with a bowl of that sauce and the rest of that.
Just have at it. Yeah, because the Colonel left the chicken in the studio here at the radio station. 19 away from the top of the hour here. And, wow, an adventurous morning we've had so far. But there's still time. There's still time to talk about stuff you want to play around with. Daryl and Ken and John Limtiotko talking about that lease deal that came up over at the legislature. And I thought it was, this is me. Yeah, I'm young and naive, eh? And so I'm watching the thing, and I'm going, hey, they've been talking about an egg farm. Where was that? So we got caught up with Mike, and then there was a conversation about a public hearing with Tom Matta. And here I just think it's going to be, we're just extending the lease. That's it. And they do that all the time. I know Tom's done that a couple of times over at the port, where we've got people that want to that have an interest and want to develop it, but it's difficult to do when all you've got is a 5-year lease, 10-year lease. It's hard to get that capitalization. I'm being asked by the guys on the Facebook, said how does it taste? It tastes great. is KFC chicken, and it's got this smoky barbecue flavor on it that you are going to absolutely love. I like the pickles too. I don't know when they started doing that. I think they did it at first with the honey mustard ones. Yeah, and that's just great. It's just put some crunch on it. So you got a lot of different flavors working at it. So where was I? I was talking about the deal, and so I'm thinking, okay, it's just an extension of the lease, nothing more, nothing less, and all of a sudden, bam! You got these stories. You got people that are calling in and talking about they're going to make a red light district, or they're going to build a mall, or they're going to do this or do that out there, and I'm going, really? So it led to both sides getting their thoughts out and on the air. And I hope it was helpful for you to be able to hear what the critics of the bill had to say and what the proponents and the beneficiaries of the bill have to pay. And then you get to make your own decision about it. You get to do it. I can tell you that what they've got in the lease, as I'm making it from one page to another on the original lease, it does seem to have some pretty strong restrictions on the use of the land and any other marketing that may go on there should be of an agricultural purpose. So I don't know that we'll be building malls and luxury homes next to the chicken farm. And when you stop and think about it, if you lived in a luxury home, would you like to live next to a chicken farm? John, you're old enough to remember driving down to Agate once upon a time and on the other side in Telefofo?
Absolutely, and even old enough to remember in Barragata, Rupley's farm.
And there was an aroma, wasn't there, when you passed by?
And which way the wind blows, right?
Yeah, there was a one coming out of Agate on the way up the hill. It was before we had a nice hill. The one that we had back in the old days, you couldn't drive fast on, so it kind of lingered with you as you drove by there. And my recollection is it stunk for a year after they closed it, right?
Absolutely, and it was pretty much the armpit of Guam, other than maybe the dump. But
No. Actually, I've always considered the armpit of the island to be it's a section of road over by coming down from John F. Kennedy and then up the hill towards the gas station. Always by the old Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. I used to call that Hudodo Street because that's what it smelled like in the car. You drive by there and you go, "Hey, Hudodo, what is that?"
Right.
There's mutong here, and there are times where the treatment plant down there is not doing what it's supposed to be doing, or the pump station that they have down there needs a little bit of help, and you get a little additional aroma down Hudodo Street, even today.
Plant.
Anyway, so what did you think of the conversation?
I've had some thoughts. I even listened to the hearing.
Yeah.
And a couple of things is that I understand that the commercial leases are supposed to be for the benefit of putting infrastructure into the residential areas for utilities.
Right.
That's supposed to come from. So I listened to what Senator Torres said also. She had said that in the original lease, it shows that if this lease was to be sold, right, that there can be no adjustments to the lease at all. It's as is. And I guess that was acknowledged by even the egg factory guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that nothing. It has to be just the way it is. And so it was no extensions, none of that. That's all just the way it's supposed to. They assumed the lease, and that was written in the lease, the original lease, and they acknowledged that. But they were saying they wanted the lease so they can because of the banks and everything else. But I did hear Mike or one of the other guys that was testifying for Manhita was that if that's not the case, they can live with the 24 years and they won't make the improvement. They just won't make the improvements. Well, that's the offset, according to Department of Agriculture. Which I'm still kind of confused about as to how does the Department of Agriculture determine what Chamorro Land Trust does. But the offset was to be that whatever improvements they put on that line, they take off of the lease.
Right.
Now, they said that it's okay, we won't make the improvements, so that would mean that they'd have to pay the lease, which means that would go for its original intent to help, with infrastructure for everything else. So, and my point of contention is, yeah, like John said this morning, they're businessmen. They knew what they got into, and and you even pointed that out. so if they're okay with the 24 years, then I just think that's the prudent thing to do, because who knows what's coming down the pipe in 100 years from now. They're up to 100 years. I know we're comparing apples and oranges here, but the mess that we have at the port, and then, of course, all of the questions about Tizan, I just want to make sure, and, that we enter this as best we can for for the amount of people that are being involved. And, as far as the land trust goes, I want it in the best interest of the land trust.
Right.
Also that they had mentioned that I guess they're building barracks there, which means obviously H2.
But they would have to be H2s that would be vetted for their capabilities to work in an agricultural situation. Greg Massey was listening this morning and heard the same thing and said it can't be used for construction barracks. Must be agricultural. They got to be farm guys. And I'm trying to figure out how many guys we'd be able to find locally to work at a farm.
Well, they said we need more farmers. There are people that do that. I would say in stressed out times like this, responsible people would want to work, and I would say that, remember, the reason why the H2 program was taken away from Guam, because, the federal government realized that the number was always the same. It stayed the same, the level stayed the same for H2 workers, and it did not seem like Guam was doing enough to offset that, because the numbers year after year after year was the same for the same amount of H2 visas. So that being said, I mean, you can't teach, anybody in Guam to harvest eggs. I mean, come on. I mean, for the right wages, I'm sure you can.
Ah, there we go. For the right wages. There it is. Ding, 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 ding. So there's the de facto minimum wage around here is about $14 an hour, because that's what 50,000 people that are in the welfare programs are making, and for just being able to sit around and vape and get tattoos and do all that stuff.
Well, you mean to tell me that
because that is what I think they're getting from all of these different programs, and they don't need to do anything except make sure that they go and say put some more money in the Quest card here. There's no other skill that's required for that, and if you're not going to pay them at least that much, then forget about them coming and applying for a job.
I would say this because I own rental property, and I have hired local contractors with different kinds of employees. Mm-hmm. But for the work that you get, you have to pay what you pay what you get. I mean, you pay you pay your money's worth.
We're talking about taking eggs out from under a chicken and going in the farmhouse and getting the dead chickens and giving somebody vitamins. This is not skilled labor. It's not like working with steel here. It's and rebar. We're talking about it's farms, for heaven's sakes.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. You pay what the market will bear, and that's it. We all know this, right? You pay the position, not the person. So if that's what people are willing to work for, then let them work for it. But,
so just watch. This is going to turn into something that's got some automation behind it, and the 50 people that they're going to hire to meet the requirements of their qualifying certificate are going to be working in the IT department, and they're going to be working in the science side of it, where you've got to have an education and real skills. Hey, I got Mike Benito on the line. He wanted to chime in, and
like I said, I just wanted to say that I think we need to be very careful with this. I am not the one to jump in the face of free enterprise and capitalism, all for it. I'm not for anyone stopping making a buck, but this concerns Chamorro Land Trust, and like anything else, we need, with 100-year lease, we really need to take a good look at it. I wish John, who has been my classmate since middle school, and Mike, because I've known him for a while, I wish them well. They've got a great idea, but to me, it just says, if we can do the 25, then let's do the 25 and take it from there.
All right. Well, and I got Mike Benito on the other line, so let me ask him about that.
All right. Thanks.
All right. I'll talk to you pretty soon, John. 8:53, cousin Mike. How about Primo?
Half a day. How you doing? What time did you get out of this the fundraiser last night?
It was a crazy night. That place, I didn't realize how quickly what's the name of it? Cowboy Ninja could pack up. But cousin Mike and I at a fundraiser for Marissa Peroy, who discovered after running a marathon that she had a tumor in her head, and we're hoping that everybody's got their fingers crossed because she is just an incredible friend and you know a superior member of this community. That whatever it is that she's got, we'll be able to take care of it. But as is the case with situations like that, it comes down to money. And so we had a fundy last night, and I understand there'll be a 5K that's going to be coming down the road.
Yeah, she's such a positive person.
Oh my God! Yes.
Come out of this very well.
Yeah, I'm sure of it. And of course, our thoughts with the kids and David as well. But anyway, so we were talking about this, and John called up and I think answered a lot of questions that might be floating around in people's head, and pointed to the structure and the hard rails, I guess, on the original lease, because some of the I'm afraid of the future things that some of the critics are talking about, I don't see in the lease or in the statute that is being proposed.
Yeah, absolutely. They're absolutely not in there. I mean, we're not allowed to do some of the things that have been, proffered. I mean, the idea of a red light district or any type of big barracks or any type of malls and stuff like that, we're not allowed to do so. And another thing, I don't think people are going to want to have a nice mall or a red light district next to a chicken farm anyways.
Yeah. Well, that was another point that the caller and I were talking about a second ago. I remember what the chicken farm smelled like back in the old days, and there was always, you're driving down south and you'd get to that edge of Agate and roll up the windows. Got to roll up the windows and put the air conditioner on recirculate at least until you're to the top of the hill, until you can see the towers of the radio station down there, because by then you might be in the clear depending on which way the wind blows. So there are highest and best uses of the property. And I think a farm and maybe doing something with fertilizer and methane recapture and maybe growing stuff at the end of it is going to be interesting. Now we get to the length of time here, and a point that John brought up from the public hearing that you guys were in was that if you can get this thing for 50 years and then 5-10-year extensions after that would be awesome. But you can still do it with the 24 years you have left, right?
We could still do it with the extension to get to the 50 years. So
I see.
Remember, yeah, the original lease is 50 years, but we came in about halfway. We cured the default. The group that was in there before had basically did it for a number of years, and it sat idle for, almost 2 decades. So we didn't really have a lot of time after we took over the lease in 2015. What we're trying to do is reset it to get us to 50 years. That allows us to get financing for the full project, because if we only have 20-some years left, it becomes very difficult to get the financing. As a matter of fact,
well, where'd you get the financing for what you got? Because you're $300,000 in just on getting the lease, and then John was saying that you guys have already put $1.2 million in it. Who's your lender now?
Yeah, right now we went through the Bank of Guam. We did have a bank, but I mean that's a much smaller lease. When you look at the investment, $1 million and $1 million that we've already spent versus $8 million that we're going to spend by doing a chicken farm. Because not only do you have, it's just not one house. Like if you remember down the one in Agate, you remember the one that was down in Malolo before, it was one big warehouse, and pretty much everything was manually done. As you know, my grandfather Don Pedro had a chicken farm down in Dundon. It was just one building. The way we're going to do it, it's going to have multiple buildings. There's going to be 4 buildings with about 30,000 hens in each one. So you have them at different stages. You have to have a house for some of the pullets to raise them. And then you need a feed house, and of course you need a place where you're going to bring in the eggs, and they're going to be sorted and packaged. Yeah. So it's a large investment, and to have a bank say, okay, if you only have 25 years left, let's go ahead and give you financing, it's a little bit more difficult. And one of the things that we want to do, and we encourage a lot of our other farmers to do the same. You want to take advantage of the resources that are there, but with the USDA office, they're very, very helpful. But one of the things that we can do is we can get, at least some guarantees to help us with the USDA. They can come in and they can guarantee a big percentage of the overall loan, up to 80%. And what they want, what the USDA wants, it's actually in their requirements, that you have to have a minimum of 50% greater than the amount of the loan, right? So if we're going to take a 30-year loan, because we want to term this out as long as possible. you're going to have at least 50% greater. So that's 45 years left on your lease. We don't have that. And we would not be able to take advantage of USDA funding or USDA guarantees, whichever one we take.
Right. Have you tried?
We've tried, and that was the,
they said no. You're Guam.
Yeah,
you don't get anything like that here.
Yeah, you can't get it. It's not it's not allowed. Now let's say, for instance, we were trying to get a USDA loan for 10 years, amortized over 10 years, then that might be possible.
Would GITA not guarantee? Couldn't you get another guarantee out of GITA?
Well, I think with GITA, you have to have, they're like the lender of last resort, right? So you have to kind of go through the whole gamut of different lenders.
Noted.
But again, the USDA, and of course, that's a lot of money. I don't know if GITA is going to loan us $8 million. That's probably a big chunk of their portfolio.
Well, I thought maybe they could help guarantee that if it came to bullets with another lender around here. But anyway, we talk about that and more. I got to run because it's 9 o'clock in the morning already, and we got to break away for the Fox News.
Very good. Talk to you later.
I'll see you pretty soon, cuz. No problem. It's 9 a.m., and the radio station is KUSG, Hagåtña. We are known around here, though, as The Point. Plenty of room for conversation and plenty other issues. We've been talking about chickens and Baby Joe all day, but there's other stuff on the list, and we'll try to punch through some of those topics as the hour continues. Stick around.
Gathering the evidence. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News. Many nations, including the U.S., joining together to condemn Syria's government, blaming it for an apparent chemical weapons attack late yesterday.
According to rescue workers and activists in Syria, as many as 500 people have been treated for symptoms consistent with some type of poison chemical attack. So the number of dead, which now stands about 40, could rise in the next day or so and possibly even dramatically rise. The video coming out of Syria shows families in Douma suffocating with white foam on their mouths. Other video shows dead families clinging to each other in their homes. And dozens of survivors are being treated with oxygen and inhalers.
Fox's Connor Powell in our Mideast Bureau. Millions across Canada mourning this weekend after a deadly bus crash late Friday involving the Humboldt Broncos junior hockey team. Team President Kevin Garinger on what his head coach would always say.
He talked about the fact that the Humboldt Broncos were about not building hockey players, but creating amazing young men. And that's what we had in our organization, was amazing young men.
A semi-trailer slammed into the buses in the team's bus on Friday, killing 15 on board and injuring 14 others. The White House still pressing its case for even more possible tariffs against China.
Basically, what we have here is a situation where every American understands that China is stealing our intellectual property. They're forcing the transfer of our technology when companies go to China. And by doing that, they steal jobs from America. They steal factories from America.
The president's chief trade advisor, Peter Navarro, on NBC's Meet the Press. A winner in Augusta at the Masters.
Will it be his life-changing moment?
Yes, it will. Captain America captures Augusta.
That call on CBS, American Patrick Reed wins his first major PGA title. Fox News, fair and balanced.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Yes, money is something we should talk about and plan for and use to make life better. It's how we make our giant leap from where we are to where we want to be. So let's talk together and work together to check off shiny new kitchens, fully nested dorm rooms, and bucket lists with more countries than our passports can hold. Let's check them all off together. First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes. Member FDIC.
Some 250 Texas National Guard troops heading to the border tomorrow. Plenty of Republicans in Congress applauding a move by President Trump to use the military to help fight illegal immigration.
Since last year, crossings have gone up 200%. Last month, up nearly 40%. I think this bold action by the president, putting our military, our National Guard down the border, I hope is a wake-up call for Congress to get its job done.
Texas Congressman Mike McCall on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo. Gas prices up again. The average price for a gallon of self-serve regular jumping 8 cents over the past 2 weeks to now $2.74.
This current price is about 30 cents higher than it was 1 year ago, and it, too, comes mainly from higher crude oil prices.
Analyst Trilby Lundberg with the Lundberg Survey. The highest average price in the lower 48. San Francisco at $3.63 a gallon. The cheapest gas, Baton Rouge, Louisiana at $2.37. President Trump skipping the White House Correspondents' Dinner for a second straight year.
The annual dinner traditionally attended by the president and vice president will take place April 28th to celebrate the role of the free press. The White House Correspondents Association said in a statement, the White House has informed us that the president does not plan to participate in this year's dinner, but that he will actively encourage members of the executive branch to attend and join us as we celebrate the First Amendment. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders will represent the administration at the head table. Last year, President Trump declined to attend his first White House Correspondents' Dinner, instead attending a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
And at the movies, a new box office champ, John Krasinski's A Quiet Place, debuting on top with $50 million in ticket sales, marking the year's second-best weekend after Black Panther. Ready Player One finishing second with $25.1 million. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News Radio.
Stomach again. Subway has all new signature wraps, and around the water cooler, the other stomachs can't stop talking about them. Chipotle Southwest steak and cheese, turkey, bacon, and guac, rotisserie-style chicken Caesar signature wraps. Listen, if I'm honest, as a talking stomach, I don't have a lot of life experience. But I do know one thing. These signature wraps are jam-packed with meat. So what are you waiting for? I'm growling over here. Subway. Make it what you want.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. I'm Kim Anderson of Chalampago, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi Itanomo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Come out for the 4th annual Chucky Run and Fun 5K, 2K, and Flyaway giveaway. Join us Saturday, April 14th at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam. Show at 5:30 and go at 6 a.m. T-shirts, medals, and other cool prizes, refreshments, and indoor activities after the races. Grand prize drawing for all participants is a trip package for 2 to Manila. Register at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam. $8 for students, $12 for adults, and Group of 4 Super Saver for just $35. The 4th annual Chuck E. Run and Fun 5K, 2K, and Flyaway giveaway. See you there.
Ray Gibson brings you closer to the action. Any speaker, anytime. Morning talk that matters.
The object of the game is to get all of the players here, and I think the only one that I'm not queued up for is Senator Mary Torres. But I got Tom the Hammer Adda on the line, and we'll get to the end on this conversation about the chicken farm, because frankly, there's other stuff I got to get to this morning. Senator, are you there?
Yeah, I'm fine. And some days it's Tom the Hammer Adda, and other days it's Tom the Hammered Adda.
Are you getting hammered on this thing?
Huh?
Are you
listening to the discussion? That's no problem. I mean, it's good, healthy discussion that's going on, and that's the whole point when you introduce a bill.
Mm-hmm.
That starts the conversation.
Well, and it certainly got a good start on the conversation here at the radio this morning. It originally looked like, as we were reading some of the back and forth on this and talking to guys, that it just had this feeling like, I wonder if there's connections and it's Insuli and who you know, not what you know kind of thing. And near as I can tell, just reading the original, at least reading some of the original paperwork, that is part of the exhibits on this, as well as the language of the document itself that would allow for the extension. I'm just not seeing a whole lot that you can get away with without, in terms of secondary deals that would be done that are not of an agricultural nature, if that makes sense.
If you're referring, for example, to the provision that would allow them to sublease.
Correct.
If that's a secondary, byproduct of the lease, my understanding is the intent there is to allow smaller farmers to be able to come in and do their farming activity in an area where there's infrastructure available for them, and where there's equipment available for them to help them with their farming activities. But then at the public hearing, Manhita Farms representative basically says, fine, they can still live with it. That was kind of really an additional that was not if it was to be taken out, was not a deal breaker. The fundamental issue that needs to be resolved is that they need an extension so that they can go out and get the loan that they would need to put this egg farm up, which they estimate will run about $8 million.
Yes, and that from the conversation that I had with Cousin Mike Benito just a little bit ago.
Okay, I wasn't listening to.
No, I'm just saying. No. We're going to be going over some ground that I've covered a whole lot this morning. So what is the next step for this legislation? I think it has everything it needs. The fiscal note is there, and it doesn't look like it's going to cost the government any more money. And the other question I had about is the lease funds that they're not going to be paying. Would those normally have been going into the CLTC trust account?
There's a provision there in the bill, that says that the proceeds, the rental, will go to the Chamorro Land Trust accounts. So that money does go. I do also want to, bring up this thing about that it's possible that Manhita, the farm, might not have to pay any rent at all based on how much investment they make in the farm. And I'm going to need to go back to Gita, but in looking at the formula that's on the lease,
yes,
the monthly rent or the annual rent is really to be discounted by a certain amount based on how much investment, but there's a limit as to how much of that investment can be will be credited towards the rent. So I'm not convinced. I'm going to have to go back and look at that formula, but I'm not convinced that because they put in $1 million, the rent is going to go down to zero.
Yeah, well, I know that they've got some qualifying certificates, so there might be an abatement on some taxes to 75%, but that doesn't cover everything, and so it's $29,000 and change times. Just going to round that up to $29,500. $29,500.
No, if you round it up, it's $3,000 per acre per year, and there's 50 acres there. So the $150,000 a year is supposed to be the rent if they put in zero investment.
But they put in $1.2 million so far on top of the $300,000 that they used to secure the lease. And so paying $1.5 million, in my mind, although John said that it was a part of the original lease agreement, that should not free them from paying rent over the course of another 99 years.
That's right. And again, it's not a dollar for dollar. At least on my understanding of as I was looking at the formula. So, but I'm going to get with Gita, and we're going to get that clarified. But it's not a dollar for dollar. I put in $1 of investment and I get $1 off my rent.
Right. See, that's where I thought everything was going to be headed. And when I talked to John, I said, well, that's why it looks like a sweetheart deal, because that's actually a pretty good deal. So instead of paying, $150,000 a year for the next 99 years, you plug in $1.5 million and then whatever the rest of your investment is going to be, and then you're scot-free for the life of the lease.
Yeah. No, that's not my understanding, but I'll get with Gita today so that we can, verify that in fact that formula that's in that lease.
And maybe the idea is maybe there should have been some other conversation. Is that price still the going rate for something like that? I'm not in the farm business, so I couldn't tell you. But as I said, it's very interesting when we start taking some of these things apart. I was surprised when I saw this because frankly I thought this was just going to be one of those simple Tom Ad, I'm extending a lease things. You've done that at the port a couple of times, so I figured this was the same. And all of a sudden here comes all of the conversation about red light districts and malls and all of that stuff, and the ability the ability to change terms that are in the lease without having to go back to the Chamorro Land Trust Commission or GITA.
No, I don't think that's the case. First of all, let me go back to a couple of points.
Yeah.
You were asking about is the rent is that reasonable? Well, that rent that's on the lease was based on an appraisal that was done at the time that GITA basically sold the leasehold to Manhita. So there was an appraisal made, and so that's where that amount came from. It wasn't an arbitrary amount. It was based on an appraisal.
Okay, and the reason I'm curious about it is because there's a couple of different exhibits. Some of them go back to 1991. There's the one that you're referring to, I think, that goes back to 2015, right?
Well, the documents that we're talking about in 1991 were the lease documents. And it was kind of that the lease on that 50 acres actually started in 1986. And it was a lease between the Department of Agriculture and the company, Kusan, at the time that entered into that lease. But then and he got all the signatures that it needed. But then in 1991, they re-signed the same lease again, but this time they notarized it. And then, so it went to like 3 iterations. So,
and this time it was notarized.
Yeah, well, so we kind of had to sort through that. And then, so the lease got notarized and everything was made official in 1991. By 1995, the company defaulted on the loan that it got from GITA. So GITA took the lease according to that loan. If you don't pay up your loan, I'm the new owner of the lease. And then after that, there was 2, we got documents that shows that there was twice when GITA tried to go out and put it out on the market for whoever may want to take over this lease. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until 2015 that they were then able to get Manhita to come into the picture.
The long, interesting story about something as simple as doing a chicken ranch, and you'd think that on an island like this, where you've got a ready supply of people that like to eat with eggs and cook with eggs, that would be a no-brainer. But look where we are today. I think that pretty much concludes my interest in the chicken story for today, unless there's something else, another shoe that's going to drop on this. I can't imagine what it's going to be. I will switch gears with you just because I know that you are part of the conversation as well. And I am annoyed beyond annoyance that they're talking about, and maybe you saw this in the Daily Post over the weekend, nobody's going to make a decision on the tax amnesty for another couple of months? That's bull.
Well, I did sit in on that SES meeting, and Senator Espaldon did ask about that because,
because we were broke. I was under the impression, Senator, that we had no more money, that it was just cockroach wings in the treasury of the government of Guam, and we weren't going to be able to cover the payroll, and we can't pay for the retirees, and there's not going to be COLA or whatever. And now they're saying, hey, I think we're okay. We got that BPT. We're moving into the middle of April, so we'll hold off on this. I thought we were desperate for the cash. Well,
I think I thought the same too, and It's unfortunate that the last time that we had discussed the tax amnesty as a possible revenue enhancement option was, about a month ago. And when they sat down in the SES meeting last week, it was kind of like, well, we're still looking at it.
What's to look at? Is there money out there? Is this a mechanism to get the money in? Then let's do it. It's just print the names. We'll stick them in a newspaper and remind everybody about their obligation and let them know for a limited time only, for as long as Wendy's is going to have the bacon cheeseburger thing. For a limited time only, you've got to come in here and we'll let you off the hook if you just cover the principal. We'll forgive the interest. We'll forgive the penalties. Just come in and get right with Jesus.
Right. And, I know that in earlier discussions, they had mentioned that there was like about $180 million of tax receivables. But out of that $180 million, there was a chunk that was already on a payment plan. So you subtract that amount.
Okay.
Then there's another chunk that's going through some kind of litigation right now. You subtract that amount. And then what's left that might possibly be had through an amnesty program is about probably a chunk of about $20 million. But, $20 million is $20 million. That might be able to pay for those tax refunds that are outstanding right now.
That's 2 Manhita chicken farms and then some. So I'm just saying, I don't understand this. It was all urgency. We're parking, hearses at the legislature, and we got back and forth with the press releases, and times are tight, and all of a sudden times are not tight. This is why I don't trust the government, Senator, is because they sell us one line, and then all of a sudden everything is hunky-dory, which means we're never going to finish the conversation on all of the other expense reductions that we were promised was going to happen. And some of the revenue enhancements, we're just not going to go down that road.
Yeah, I hear you, but let's close the chicken story on this note.
Okay.
Let's go back to the chicken story and let's close that one. Let's close that cage. So what's going to happen now is, of course, we've had the public hearing. We've heard the concerns that have been raised. And we'll go back then and take a look at the bill, and there may be some. There'll most likely be amendments that will be made. For example, the provision to allow them to sublease. Manhita themselves, the farm operators, basically says that's not a deal breaker. You can take that out. So we'll probably delete that from the bill. There was the other part that will then, after they finish the first 50 years, is to give them another 50-year extension, 5 10-year options to renew. We can probably get rid of that and, say, cross that bridge when you, come to year 40 of the first, block of operations.
Okay.
We'll most likely take that out. There may be other, language that we might put in there that kind of puts a few more parameters that kind of tightens things up. No red light districts.
Yeah, why not? All right. Well, it sounds like everybody's going to get their hands on it when it comes time to talk about it on the floor, and even without it, it's something that they can make a going concern for at least the remainder of the lease. And who knows, there might be a friendlier opportunity to make some changes in another iteration of the Guam legislature and another sitting governor of Guam. We'll see what happens.
Sure. And let me just say that despite all the pushback that may have been raised, I'm certainly not daunted by that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see us have an agricultural operation out there that's going to strengthen the food security and the food sustainability of this island. And we're going to work it from that end.
I got you. Senator, I'll talk to you pretty soon. Don't let those the SES guys off the hook. They got to come up with an answer sooner than a couple of months. If it was a good idea when Joe Arnett and Joe Bradley were talking about it a month ago, it's a good idea today.
Roger that.
I'll see you pretty soon. Tom the Hammer, but sometimes hammered, Ada. I got you. You know, don't say that anymore because, you know, my nephew and that generation, they use hammered in a totally different way. They use it in a different way. I'll see you later. You have a fantastic Monday and the rest of your legislative week. It's 9:23 now. And while the senator and I are yakking about stuff, I stuck on the online did I stick? Let me put it back. We were talking earlier about traffic going up to where's that? Anderson Air Force Base, front gate of Anderson. And so Kevin got his hand. Somebody stuck a drone up in the sky and got a picture of it. So we have art of what the traffic looked like through there. And there you can see there's the fence line, and there is a long line of traffic.
But weren't drones made illegal?
I don't know. Unless there's a sign up there somewhere that says "Don't fly your drone here," or otherwise, you know, we're the Air Force. We'll send something bigger to shoot it down. I don't know, but that is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Wow. That's a good picture, though. Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, I want to get one like that all the time. Right? Can I do that?
Oh yeah. Well, $1,500.
Is that all?
I think so.
You know how they do it in the world.
You mean the real world?
No, I mean in the world of broadcasting. I didn't realize that because you know we're talking about news operations that have lots and lots of money. And back in the old days, they'd hire a guy that knew how to fly a helicopter, and he would do the traffic reports. Or if there was a fire in the building, he'd go cover that. Or if there was a hostage taking, just whatever it was, they'd have a guy out there in a helicopter. And as it turns out, drones are far cheaper, and so they'll get 2 or 3 of them. And it'll be one of them that goes up, and they say it's only got a hang time 20 minutes. Right. So they'll leave it up there, and at minute 19, send up another one, switch the video, and you don't even notice, right? So it's just another different drone, different angle maybe, and then another 20 minutes they'd send another one, and they just keep doing this until the story is over. And anybody that knows anything about news recognizes that some stories don't require a 24-hour presence. They just need to go up there, get the video that the producer needs, and take it out. If it takes 20 minutes to do it, great. If it takes 30 minutes to do it, we've got the drones that we can send up. And I thought that is the coolest thing in the world. Of course, I want one of those systems here. One of the other partners is off island. I told him I'd be watching the store for a little bit. Well, we'll see how it plays. We'll see what happens. Just 1, 2, 3 drones. I know. We'll take it from all the money I'm not paying in my taxes. What's the sign? This is like I was ranting over the weekend with a friend about the judge. I'm really nuts about this thing with the judges. I'm surprised we don't have another 3 stories in today's Daily Post about guys getting convicted in a court of law for dealing methamphetamine to their neighbors and the kids in the schools, and then getting let off the hook by a judge. I'm surprised because that has been happening an awful lot lately. And I'm hoping that this might be one of those times where we get into an election conversation where I might have the opportunity to put a yes or no, specifically the no, next to the name of a judge. I know it won't make any difference because that's not the way it works around here. But I've never heard of anybody getting sent off the job for something like that. But I'd sure love the opportunity just to say so.
Playing the part of devil's advocate. Maybe the judges are trying to reserve what little space there is in DOC for the heinous crime offenders, those, the violent crimes.
Hey, having been a victim of idiots on crystal methamphetamine, I'm here to tell you that they need to be in jail. Think about all the home invasions and the break-ins and people running around and they got the plastic bag on the car. You know why they got a plastic bag where the car window is supposed to be? Because some jerk needed to get another fix and broke into the car to steal whatever it was they thought they could get away with in the car. And sometimes it's not a whole lot of value. The cost of replacing the glass is more of a pain than the value of anything that got stolen. A purse gets stolen out of a car, and it's not so much the contents of the purse. Because if the person holding the purse is anything like me, they might have a total of, hold on a second, let me see, what is my net worth today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 $1 bills. There's a Heineken Light over at the beach bar, right? But the wallet, with the driver's licenses, credit cards, all of the crap that will have to get replaced, and all of the visits to places where I'm going to have to replace it.
Right.
That in and of itself, and I've had to go through that. That in and of itself is the one that makes you want to strap on a gun and go hunt somebody for breaking into the car. I'm serious. I know you're not supposed to do that.
No.
But in the Wild West days, we would have made a posse. And I would have put, you would be my deputy. I would stick a badge on you and say, we're going to go find whoever it was that broke into my horse and stole my wallet. Go ahead. I know you're dying to hit the
I don't even. I'm not even sure which one at this point. I'm feshmickled.
All right, so that's what I'm saying. I get the idea that there's not a whole lot of room over at the Department of Corrections. Let's make a plan. Let's build a bigger one. Let's do that.
Yeah. Well,
let's put that on the list of things that we've talked about 100 times that have never ever gotten done. I can go back senators and DepCorps directors that have actually looked into the concept and have found monies that might be available and land that might be available for some kind of state-of-the-art Department of Corrections. Heck, you can even privatize the thing.
State-of-the-art?
Sure.
Just do what Duterte wants to do.
What did he want to do?
Duterte wants to put them all on a really big ship about 200 miles offshore, give them food provisions of rice every day to catch fish with, and if they eat up all their rice to catch the fish before their time, then they have to start cutting off body parts to catch fish with. This is something that actually he said.
And I don't have a problem with it. I'm sorry.
Me neither.
I really don't. I mean, that's how did the penal colonies get started back in the old days? Here, you want a penal colony? We got a ton of islands up north that nobody is living on. It's you and the goat and iguanas, and that's it. And you get up there, and after you figure out how to make booze, which is, by the way, the first thing that anybody, if you were ever stranded on an island, that would be the first thing that you figure out as soon as okay, there's a cave there. I've got someplace to sleep. This is where the ocean is. I might be able to catch something. Oh, a fire. I'll figure that out. But after that, you're walking around looking at the coconuts going, how do I make booze out of this? And because if you think about the olden history of Guam, that's one of the first things that guys figured out how to do.
Well,
So
let's
make
face it,
booze.
man. I mean, once you've got your food, your shelter, and your fire, what else do you need? A drink.
Love of a good woman. Just saying. It's 9:30 in the morning or so. The number is 888-8255. That's 888-8255. As I'm fond of saying, there's plenty more on the table of contents. I haven't gone anywhere near the surface of topics today. I've ranted about two things. That's it. But are there more? Of course there's more. It's Guam. It's talk radio. It's what I do. You can join in if you want to. Otherwise, on the other side of these messages, we'll come back and fill your mind with some other stuff. iConnect time is 9:30. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Mangilao on Route 10. Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Mangilao. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Hey, Jeff Jones. I know him. We have the same kind of truck. We do. Welcome back to the program. Well, that was a short break, wasn't it? Okay. We'll get some more in like that. 888-8255 is a telephone number as we ramble through what's left of this particular show, this particular hour on a Monday. And I hope everybody had a good weekend. Was it everything that you hoped for? Was it everything that you longed for? Were you sitting there going, you know what? The only thing I need to know about now is whether or not there's going to be a carnival. That's right. The answer is no. Oh, I'm going to make a long-range hedge on this. I don't see anything that looks like what needs to happen happening in order for there to be a carnival like the kind that we had before. I talked to the people over at the governor's office. They don't really care about doing anything against that law that got passed by all 15 members of the legislature. So don't look for anything more than... just, if there's going to be gambling, it's going to be you and a deck of cards. That's it. And if there's going to be a carnival, I think it's going to be, a Carabao Beauty contest and food trucks or something like that over at the new Chamorro Pavilion down at the Chamorro Village. At least that's the sense I got. But it's not why we're hooking up with Mayor Savares this morning. Good morning, Miss Mayor. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Ray. I'm doing well, and you?
Not bad. Was it a good weekend? Traffic from the, I don't know if you noticed, but traffic from the marathon was backed up all the way into Dedido. Did you catch that yesterday?
Yes, and that's why I saw the sign.
Yep.
And that's why I stayed off the road.
Yeah, I'm going to stay here until after Mass. That's what I'm going to be doing. Anyway, so, but the reason I called you has nothing to do with the carnival. It's a throwback conversation that we've had once upon a time. And I am of the position that because it's law that all of the mayors are actually peace officers. It's actually specified in the code that they are peace officers. So if you've got a guy in the village that has dogs that he won't keep on a leash, won't keep them behind the fence, and is going out and making other little puppy dogs and nuisances out in the community, then the mayors have got the power to cite this individual. But they haven't been able to do it because you still don't have the citation training and the booklets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mayor, this conversation's 2 years old at least.
More than, yeah.
More than, yeah. So, well, I know.
Some of us went through the 4-hour training.
Yeah.
And they said we needed another 4-hour training before they can hand us the book.
Well, who's they? Who's they? That's
the courts.
The courts.
Yeah. And there was an officer. I don't remember if it was, there was a police officer, a GPD officer, that actually did the training for us at the court.
Yeah, because these are citations, and they have to be able to stand up in a court of law. And if you do something wrong, then the judge might throw it out on a technicality. Or, given the state of the judges that we seem to be having these days, you could write them up for murder and use an ice to murder somebody, and they'll say, "Oh, but did you have a bad week? Oh, you better go home. Have a lay down."
And that's why we said we're just going to cite the public law for chickens and dog leash laws. That's all we'll do, and we're not going to do anything else. But they're still hesitant. I don't know why.
Well, we got to get this going. Here's the thing: as has been pointed out in one or two of the articles that I'm reading right now, is that the Leo Casil and the guys over at the Department of Public Health are saying, okay, we're going to be busy with environmental health stuff. We got to go and investigate the restaurants and bars and strip joints and massage parlors. So while we're doing that, you take care of the other complaints that we might get about somebody that's raising pigs and slaughtering them in the backyard. God, I used to live with neighbors like that. I used to live next to people that were raising pigs, and there were entire days of the week that it was just awful. And you could always tell when it was a big fiesta that they were going to be having, because then it smelled better because they killed the pig and ate it.
Yeah, and it's also the chickens. You have chicken manure in the yard behind you or next to you. Mm-hmm. When it rains and then it dries up, the smell is not pleasant.
No, and worse, the worst smell on Guam, and here comes another Ray Gibson rant. The worst smell on Guam is the Hanum Basula that comes out of every single trash truck on the island because they refuse to plug that up. There's a little plug, but they don't like to plug it because it makes the thing fill up faster with liquid. So they let it out and they let the juice go out, and they can drive further without having to empty the vehicle. And that's why when they go through your village, it stinks after they pick up, especially if you live on someplace with a tilt, because then it all washes out the back of it, and it gets on the road, and it stays there until it rains again.
Right, until it washes out again.
So I want you to get a gun and a badge and your citation book and find those guys and find them for stinking up your village.
We would love to do that, Ray, but we don't have that thing, the booklet.
Can we just?
But,
can I have my printer print it for you? I'll print it up, put advertising on one side, and then then we don't have to pay that much for it. And it's just this citation brought to you by.
Yes, and whatever mayor it was, and then we'll fight the public law.
Yeah.
Sounds so easy, right?
Yeah, I know it does, but it just seems to me it's been a long time since we've had these discussions, and that's we ask about how we're going to make some real change in the villages, and the mayors want to do that work. It seems to me.
Yeah.
You want to clean up your villages. You want to make it so you don't have too many stray dogs and chicken poop everywhere. So so why does it seem to be so long dragging the feet? Even if we started today, by the time you got it, we'd bring in a whole other batch of mayors.
Yeah, and this is what happens. We go out with those notices, talking to the neighbors and saying, listen, there's been a concern. We know that you're feeding these dogs because that's why they're here at your house. Yet they're not leashed. They're not. I mean, even if you had a fence and a gate, you can close your gate and keep them in there. But or you're letting them out and going to do their business in the neighbor's yard. Then you let them back in after. It's a public nuisance. So it's all about giving them the leash law notice and then just making sure they adhere to it. However, when we come back around again, it's about time that we give them a citation to cite them for that particular notice that we gave them a week before.
Can you go with, if you don't have the citation books, can you call the policeman to go with you?
Yeah, well, the policeman, we have very few of them in the village, so they're taking care of the immediate dangers that are caused in the village or happening. So what happens if they have downtime? Maybe they can, but there are cases where they do help us with that.
Can you call JI and say, hey, if you've got guys that you can use to chauffeur prisoners over at the Department of Corrections, they can come and help me clean up my village? They got people at the intake.
We actually use, for cases like that, we use the animal control officers because they do have the power as well, but they have the booklets. And so we use them to issue the citation.
How many guys at animal control?
Not too many. I think there's only 3 left.
And so it's 3 left, and they got the one truck and the one cage, and and they got to service all of the villages on Guam, not just Dededo. So forget about those guys too. I just think they're asking a lot more of the mayors. And, I know that the mayors are getting paid enough to do the job, but you can't do the job if you don't have the tools. So we gotta get you the tools.
So it's constantly going into the same areas. We get the complaints from the immediate neighbors. We go in and we can just talk to the resident that it's actually concerning. A lot of them is also just trash, them collecting their trash on their properties. And even if it's on their private property, they're free to do what they can. But when you have rodents the size of dogs coming into the neighbors' yards because you're not cleaning up your yard, those are things that we need assistance with. And, of course, we've been informed by Environmental Health or Department of Public Health that we will not get the assistance from Environmental Health. So it's about going in and nagging the neighbors who are the problem sometimes.
Okay. Well, we'll keep working on it, and if you need any help on this side, you can call me, and I'll twist whatever arm I can find on the radio to help to get this kind of thing done. Because I'm with you. My sister's got a problem. She got a neighbor on one side of the house that's got a derelict house, hasn't done anything with years, and there's stuff in there that the rats are living off of, and they ran out over there, so they go next door over to Shelley's place and start chewing through the wiring in the car.
Yes. I've had that problem with rats from the neighbors chewing our wiring, and it cost me $185.
Yeah. So
to fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to the ground on this. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, Ray.
All right. Very good. 9:42 in the morning. Mayor Melissa Savarsi. I went all the way through and didn't ask her about the Doomed Carnival. That's what I'm going to start calling it, the Doomed Carnival. Because even if they have it, I'm sorry, it doesn't sound like all that much fun to me. It's like, hey kids, let's go. They got a food truck there, and they had the food truck on Thursday. We went to that. Remember?
And your parents are going to be bored and irritated because they have nothing to do.
And Dad's just going to go, is there beer? There's no beer, I'm not going. The Doomed Carnival. Start using that in your everyday language. Wait, that was almost give you my cell number. 888-8255 is the telephone number around here. Are we anywhere near the small talk portion of the show? We're about there, right?
It is your show. I mean, we can be wherever we want.
Well, I know. I'm trying to think if there's any time to spin up anything fun. Otherwise, I just take a look at what I've got and stories that I haven't yet had a chance to get into. Just briefly, talking about 18 companies that want to come out here and do our power plant. The one that over by GRMC. Oh boy, can you imagine? I'm just thinking about the traffic there. You know, they've opened the road at GRMC. They've opened it. There was an accident up there earlier today, and it is still slow going from Estumbo down Route 3 to Route 1, even though they've just opened that up. It should clear up a little bit faster, but it's not. Can you imagine, though, if you had an accident like that, and then there was also construction at that intersection right behind the hospital? Boy, that would be something else. Actually, I'm looking at the traffic gizmo, and it's amazing how much traffic there still is right now. 8, 10, 16, clear through there. But once you get out of it, expect a little bit of a delay. Traffic moving slower than normal. I don't want to say it's bad. I'm just saying it will move slower than normal to get through there. 8, 10, and 16, and over 4 and 10 into and out of that intersection. Might be a little slower going through there as well. Marine Corps Drive, second and third string traffic already is what they're talking about today. So there's 18 companies that want to come out here and build our power plant. And I didn't remember looking at it when I saw the thing. I wasn't able to tell whether it was whether any of them are the ship that Marcel Camacho wants to bring out here. What are they called? The power ship thing. There's a name. I'm not going to remember the name. Anyways, I didn't see where they might have lined up. I think that was just a question of looking for somebody to build, I don't know, a real power plant. So we'll see. Hope they can do it cheap. That's part of it. That's part of it, isn't it? We want them to be able to do it so that there's not going to be that much of an impact over time with the cost of electricity. It's bad enough we've got to buy the most expensive fuel that there is. And you got to go through all of the regulatory compliance hoops, and then it finally comes down to you and I, and between the LEAC fuel adjustment charge and just the cost of making electricity around here. Boy, I tell you what, you start looking around and wondering if there's any way you can light and cool the house for cheaper, huh? 944, Hoffa like Tom.
Hoffa, how are you going?
You know what? I think I'm doing pretty good today. How about you?
All right. I just want to make a quick comment about those trade-up problems.
Shoot.
Right now we still have that law in the Guam annotated book, right? And outside you the words, it says that every individual on Guam has the right to use all necessary force to protect life and property. So when it comes to those trade-offs coming into my property, I'm just going to shoot them. Because I don't know what that dog has, whether it has rabies.
Right.
And might attack one of my family members and make my family members injured.
Well, rabies, Guam has been rabies-free, I think, since Skinner's been the governor. I don't know that we've got rabies here. But I hear what you're saying. It might just be a dog that's having a bad day and might take a bite out of somebody.
Right, and I would not know where that dog came from. I would not know whether it came from my next door neighbor or just a stray dog from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so anyway, every individual in Guam has the right to protect life and property, to use all necessary force. If it takes a gun, we'll use a gun. Because we're having all these problems about the mayors cannot get a citation book. It's been a couple of years already.
Long time.
We're not going to wait for that anymore. It's a bunch of BS as far as I'm concerned. We're just going to use that law to protect our life and property. Period. That's the final solution to this problem.
I don't know that I've got a problem with that. I love dogs. I love animals. But if it's the there's a dog down the street, and actually the owner's listening right now, and I know this dog. And every once in a while, the dog will make his way up to where my house is, and then there will be a little bit of playing around with my dogs, and eventually he'll go back home. He's a free-range dog. I mean, everybody in the neighborhood knows this dog, and that's cool. I would never ever harm that dog. But if it was another dog with no collar that I didn't know that's coming around my part of the neighborhood, I'm going to yell "Handa" a couple of times, and if the dog doesn't handa back home, then there might be Mr. Pellet Gun.
Yeah. Okay, Ray. Thanks anyway.
I don't know if I'd pull out the whole Glocky Pistola thing. I don't know that I'd go that far.
All right, Ray. Thank you.
Okay, and because then you got to do something with the body, and I'm not hungry. Just wanted to see if you were awake. Just wanted to see if you were still keeping track of what we're talking about here today. Congratulations to Morico. Taking on some new investors. Morico, sponsor of the program, and fond of saying that I have the finest ATU in my wire room. That's my automatic transfer unit. If GPA gets a hiccup, this thing it just latches right away, gets the generator going within seconds. I don't even know. Which is why I have to go back every once in a while, take a look at the generator and check the logs to see that, hey, I guess we did have a power outage. This thing was running for an hour. How about that? So it really, really sophisticated. And they got great people that work there. I've known him for a long time. I've known Torgan Smith since he wasn't any taller than the tennis rackets he used to play with. And so I'm absolutely delighted to hear that they have taken on new investors, and those new investors are the actual employees of the firm. You don't hear about things like that as much as I think you could, especially around here where you got these shops where you got people who've been there for a long, long time. They know everything there is to know about the business, and hard workers to be sure, and what we used to call back in one of my old shops, lifers. And if they're going to be lifers, and if they're going to make a personal commitment to the job, well, maybe smart owner like Mr. Morrison can look at it and go, you know what? These are the kind of people I want surrounding me all the time, and I'm gonna make this sweet. I'm gonna give them a piece of the pie, and it's not just so that they'll work 25 hours a day. They will. But it's so that they're constantly thinking about the company, is constantly thinking about moving it forward. So I think that's a smart move, and I hope that you are asked by every Rotary Club and the Chamber of Commerce and the SBDC and the SBAs and everybody to go and tell the rest of the business community how you did this. And I know it's a job in progress. I know it's still going on. But I hope that you get a chance to go and tell that story, because I know that there are a lot of other companies around where they've got a lot of employees that frankly would stay with you until the day they died if they had the opportunity, and would work twice as hard if they had even a small stake in the program. So good on you, and I'd love to see more of that kind of thing. Other thing that I noticed today, Stats and Plans has put out an IFB for office space, an invitation for bid for office space. That's always interesting. Because it could go either way. It could be one of those things where they go, we're looking for a new place. We like the one that we're in, but might not hurt to look for another place. And the question I have is, I wonder what. I haven't had a chance to even think about who to call to break down that story for me. But it's very interesting to me, because wasn't there a conversation about, I don't know that we're still going to do it, but there was a conversation wasn't that long ago about how we are going to take departments and agencies that have like responses and put them together. So wouldn't Stats and Plans, who were they with before? See, this is why in my head. So I'm wondering, aren't they already on their own, or weren't they already consolidated with somebody else? I'll find out and let you know. It might be one of those things where we discuss it tomorrow. Are you sending me to a break? I should take the last break of the program. Okay, be right back then.
This time, let's hear it from the first KFC female colonel.
Smoky Mountain Barbecue, fried chicken so crispy and sweet. That crispy fried chicken. All right, stop. I can't do this.
I thought if I dressed up like a country music legend, it would help KFC sell my delicious new Smoky Mountain Barbecue.
KFC, it's finger licking good.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
Are you optimistic or pessimistic? If I turn that into a percentage, are you 50-50? Maybe 70-30? 70-30 which way? I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, the big deal about being optimistic.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point by Jerry Roberts at GuamTraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts on The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point.
Stop by any Circle K today and overload your For Real. It's simple. Pick out your favorite For Real shake, blend it, and then mix and match any 2 toppings for only $1. Overload your For Real with a variety of sweet treats like Oreo cookies, gummy bears, classic M&Ms or peanut M&Ms, and Reese's peanut butter cups. Simply add them to your For Real shake for an overload experience and enjoy. For Real Overload, only available at participating Circle Ks. Circle K, take it easy.
So, to wrap up, to finish what we've gotten into here this morning on the Ray Gibson Show on The Point, I've been down a couple of interesting roads. Smells like a chicken farm, this road. That was like the first 2 hours of the show. And for those of you that were bored with the conversation, after a while, sure, I get it. Pretty soon you just go, yeah. This starts off as much ado about nothing. We need to get back to some of the realer issues out there, and one of them is the idea that it's going to take a while for us to get to the tax increases. The tax amnesty. Tax increases we can do right away. Tax increase, all you got to do is come up and say, oh my God, the sky is falling. Trump and Congress passed this measure, and there's no more money coming into the government of Guam, and the real withholding taxes and the corporate taxes, all of those payments are coming in. They're coming in short, and we're not going to make payroll at the hospital. Oh my, woe is us. And you get the legislature, right? You get the legislature believing some of this, and so eventually they did. And they came out with a piece of legislation that, Jeff, boy, you want to talk about something that morphed quickly. I remember watching it going, this isn't the same. The product that we ended up with is not the same that they were going in with. And so that's my point here, is we were able to convince the slim majority of people over at the legislature that the sky was falling. Mm-hmm. But now it's not falling as bad as it was before. And what's changed? Well, nothing really. We're still only 9 days into the increase in the business privilege tax. We know that it's going to be pretty soon tax day, where everybody's going to line up over at the Department of Revenue and Taxes and pay what they owe the government of Guam. Small number. Versus the people that are going to line up, that have already lined up at the Department of Revenue and Taxation and said, hey, where's my refund? And the answer on that question is there are 6,000 tax refunds for 2017. They have been processed. There are these refunds have already been processed. The problem is that we don't have any money to put it for the checks on the tax refunds. So we have to wait and amnesty. Have the ones that owe pay the ones that you owe. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But no, we're going to wait it out. And so I'm a little bit annoyed at that, because I thought that was going to be the first and easiest thing that they can do. And they said, but what about all of the people that pay dutifully their taxes all the time? And so they didn't do anything wrong. But the guys that do, the scofflaws, the ones that don't pay their taxes, we're going to forgive them the penalty and the interest. And the answer is, I don't care. I don't care about them. Give them an award. Give them a certificate, right? Every time you pay your taxes, and like a good little boy, we'll give you a certificate signed by sister. Sister says you're a good boy. You go to heaven when you die because you pay your.
Is that a gold star?
It's the same one that the chief of police will give you if you're the best driver on the road and let everybody in when they're in front of you. Right? You direct traffic with the hood of your car. Don't ever do that when I'm behind you, because I will lean on the horn. I'm that guy, right? You turn around and you go, who's honking at me? I am, because why are you letting that guy in? Never mind, there's 20 cars behind you. Think about them. Be courteous to them. Sorry, it's one of those rants. I very rarely ever get into that rant on the air, but every once in a while something will remind me, and I'll go, oh, yeah. But anyway, so there's that. And I have to say, I have to finish on there's that because I can't remember what the rest of it was. I distracted myself so much, I forgot what the point of the rant was. But I'll leave you with this last one. And this is interesting. The guys over at the Department of Rev and Tax are experiencing a few more dollars coming in from the tobacco money. And so the crazy part is it's supposed to be where we stick a stamp on the cigarette that says that it's been paid.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, we haven't done that yet. We haven't actually stuck any taxes, any stamps. You don't have stamps on your pack, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, so they don't have that. They don't have the rules and regulations all set up, but they're already seeing an increase in the taxes. And Mike St. the author of the measure that provided for that, says, yeah, you know why? Because people are getting worried that that they have not been paying their tobacco taxes, so they're doing more of it now, and that's what we're seeing. Because they know that the enforcement is going to be coming down pretty soon, and they don't want there to be an opportunity for the man to come back and say, well, what have you been doing for the last 3 or 4 months? No, I've been paid. Here's the check, see? I haven't. And you're noticing an uptick in the numbers on that. So I think that's very, very cool. I wonder what it's going to be when the sin tax actually goes in and takes a little bit more of an effect. We're closing in on 10 o'clock in the morning. Man. There it is. That's Monday. Monday is done for me in terms of talk radio, but it's not done for you. Mondays in talk radio land here on Guam mean that we're running programs that would have run on a Saturday or a Sunday somewhere else, but because of the time zone and daylight savings, we're going to bring them to you as though they were brand new Monday shows. We'll get back to Brian Kilmeade's and Rush Limbaugh's and Sean Hannity's starting tomorrow, but it's always an interesting lineup here on the point of some of the weekend warriors that we've got, so I want you to tune into that. In the meantime, we are KUSG. For Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post and Michael Knight here in the program, I want to say thanks for listening. Here's Fox News.
More troops on the border. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News. At least 250 Texas National Guard troops will be in place by tomorrow, the first state to comply with President Trump's request for a larger military presence on the U.S.-Mexico border. Texas GOP